Ciao, ciao, everyone. Ciao, ciao. How is everyone doing? It's that time of the year where we can, look back and say club football is back. After a very hectic period of international football and the World Cup and everything. Of course, one by one, all leagues will resume, but the first league to resume is the La Liga, which actually, in fact, starts tonight on fan code, of course, if you don't know already. And on that note, of course, since we said that as Calcio Churcha, we'll be going big this year, we'll be covering as many leagues as possible. We will be doing a La Liga preview this time around, and we'll be obviously giving our predictions, our thoughts on all the clubs and what we expect and everything. And on that note, we have a special guest, Abhik, in the house before I get to Chintan Bhai. Abhik, welcome to the channel. Do you want to tell our audience a bit about yourself and just give us an introduction, give your introduction to the rest of the audience?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Ciao, ciao, as you guys say. Hi. Well, I am a lifelong La Liga fan. I'm a sports journalist. I'm someone who has worked on ground in Spain with various clubs, whether it's clubs in Madrid, clubs in Andalusia, doing social media stuff if I'm not in Spain. Basically, I started La Liga Vic as a platform, something like what you guys do, trying to elevate Serie A to an Indian audience. That's what my goal initially was, to sort of get people talking about Spanish football, but then it just became a whole different thing where I had to adapt it to newer audiences, and I shifted to podcasts, I shifted to streams, stuff like that. So I started as a journalist, then moved to content creation, and now I'm in the middle of this exciting journey. So I'm really happy to be invited here and looking forward to discuss, in my opinion, the best league in the world.
which is a fair assessment, to be fair. Like, I do personally also consider it as the best league in the world, to be fair, like from a very objective standpoint. It's always good to see, Chintan Bhai, when I'm, as being a jersey collector, I'm always glad to see people collect jerseys of different clubs, because I'm reaching the count of 300 almost. I still don't have a Rio kit, so I need to get that. Maybe a big can guide me. But Chintan, how's it going with you? All set for the La Liga preview?
Oh yes, the home of the world champions. We must say that. World
Yeah,
Cup winners.
exactly.
Of
Just
course,
sorry, before you continue, just look at the contrast, right? I'm not an Azzurri fan, by the way, Abhik, but Chintan Bhai
Okay.
is. There's a country which has not qualified for the World Cup, and there's the world champion in the panel. So that's just insane. I'm sorry, but
that hurts. But let's not forget 4-time world champions. That's
exactly, of
always
course.
fair.
But yeah, I think as you said, Param, rightly, मुझे भी ऐसा लगता है probably one of the most exciting leagues.
Yeah.
Talent भरपूर होता है league में. It's unbelievable the talent Spain has been producing for the past 2 decades, I must say. And it's always exciting, if not just the players, but even the coaches. Some really exciting coaches, and the team, the club, which I hate the most, is back in La Liga. Of course, La Coruña are back. The club,
If you know, you know.
The club which has given me and many Milan fans sleepless nights back in 2004. I still cannot believe that stadium is a curse for Real Madrid. That stadium is the curse for Milan fans as well. So very excited, to be honest, to back. And guys, some big clubs, people forget about what Valencia was back in the day.
Yeah.
Of course, Villarreal are still good, and Deportivo La Coruña, of course, they were the champions a few decades ago. So, Betis, of course, probably one of the most entertaining clubs to watch.
Yeah.
Getafe, of course, takes a different route altogether when it comes to football quality. But again, it's as a mix of everything. So I'm super excited this season for La Liga.
Yeah. And again, look, honestly, what Spain, I think there's definitely, we keep saying it on our panel as well. Definitely, Italy can take a page or two from Spain's book overall when it comes to how things are. Every league has its flaws, shortcomings. We know the things that happen in Spain as well, with how Tebas is, or whatever, the whole Negreira saga, and many more things, and with what currently is going on with Rayo themselves, you wearing the jersey, the whole stadium debacle. But the reality is, it is the best managed league, if not best, if in that sense, if you really think about it. But let's get into it, guys. So just for the audience, by the way, you guys keep your comments coming in. You guys have any questions, Abhik, we are all there to answer whatever opinion you have. We are all there to kind of address it, and we'll be basically doing this via tier maker. I'm sure आप लोग ने somewhere, you guys must have seen a tier maker ranking list in your life. So we'll be doing it through that. First of all, we'll be starting with the big three clubs and just covering a few clubs, and then we'll rank every other club and talk about them via the tier maker. So anything you guys have, we are there to talk about it. So Chintan bhai and Abhik, let's start. I think
Yeah.
I want to start. Abhik, I'll start with you, of course.
Okay.
I want to, since even here it's been mentioned, Cuti Romero to Atletico Madrid. He's very heavily linked with Inter. Of course, we couldn't get the deal
Yeah.
over the line. But start with Atletico Madrid, right?
Yeah.
Just
Well,
see, look,
yeah.
of course, yeah, I'll ask you a question. See, it's
Yeah.
all about now, of course, Cuti Romero, that's the latest talk of the town. Almada gone, of course, Nico Gonzalez back to Juve. And then they've bolstered their team, man. Like, it looks like they've at least bought in players that make sense for what Cholo really wants to do or how he rather wants to continue to play. What are your early thoughts on Atletico Madrid before I ask you a few more questions on?
Well, the one thing I can never say that Atletico Madrid lack is their recruitment. Because if you look at their last two transfer windows as well, they always somehow end up making the biggest splashes compared to any other club.
Yeah.
Barcelona
Yeah.
doesn't make that many signings. Real Madrid only this summer has made that amount of signings. But Atletico Madrid, whatever their talent idea is, whatever their scouting is, they always manage to get the right players most of the times. But the problem with Atleti is when they get the players, they have the money, they have a great squad, a great management, but the early thoughts, again, it will still be the same thing that I echoed last season. It's like you have so much quality, but when the season starts and a few months go by and we all think, oh, this is the year when Atleti is going to be again sort of breaking the kind of two-horse, domination and attempt to break into the top two in La Liga. But January comes, Christmas comes, and they just again kind of falter down. We saw that last season with when they prioritized the Champions League and Copa del Rey, and they completely gave up on the league. They were feeling like the second team for 3 matches in a row just to go forward in the Copa del Rey, and then they ended up winning nothing. So Atletico is a very positive team when you just look at them on the paper, when you just look at them with the kind of players they bring in. But when it's on the pitch, when push comes to shove, they really don't somehow get it over the line. So that's a bit concerning for me.
And I think before I go to Chintan bhai, the feeling last season at least was there, right? Because last season you felt like, they've given up essentially, as you said, on the league. They could do something in the Champions League because it looked good. Like, it looked really good up until a point, and then Chintan bhai, as always, as Abhik rightly said, kind of fizzles out. There is this maybe Abhik doesn't know, but I'm not the biggest Sorloth fan. I think he's a very mediocre player, and I'm not saying this because of the World Cup. I never really bought to the hype even when he was at La Real. Personally, I was not a big fan, and I think we saw it in certain players like him, even Nico Gonzalez, just kind of overperforming here and there. But Chintan, I'll just pull up my screen for the transfer market they've pulled off right so far. Just want to talk about it a bit with Abhik as well. But your 2 cents. So first of all, just let me know if my screen is visible. Just do the needful. Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Let's zoom in.
Yeah, it is. It is. So yeah, okay. I'll zoom in a bit more. Yeah, is this better? Yeah. Okay. So obviously so far Chintan, they've got in Morten Hulman, Kanganli, Grimaldo. Obviously, those are your kind of marquee signings so far. And obviously, when you look at departures, as I said, Almada's gone. Nahuel Molina to Roma.
Langley
of course.
Sorry, Longley's gone.
Langley is gone.
Yeah.
Longley. Yeah, that was. I mean, I'm sure Atleti fans are super happy about that as well. What do you think, Chintan bhai? Like, are you satisfied? Like, do you think Atletico Madrid are on the right track? And for you, what else do they need to do to kind of say, oh yeah, you know what, this squad is complete, or at least you're good enough to now fight for the La Liga title finally? Because you never know what year is Cholo's last year. Every year we look at Cholo, like, he might be gone after this, he might be gone after this, but then something needs to change. And do you really think what's your opinion on what needs to be done really, basically?
First of all, I to feel they've Cholo ne last probably 1.5, 2 seasons he's changed the way he plays football. I think Atletico don't play the way they used to play, and that change you could see with the recruitment last season with Baena and all. You could see that they've changed the approach, but very disappointing last season for Atletico Madrid. I'm sorry. I know if you're chasing Champions League and Copa del Rey, you can't give up mid-season on the league, and they were terrible in the league, to be very honest. They've scraped past some games. Disappointing because मुझे पहली बात तो players like Noel Gallagher and all didn't fit in. Why did they go for Gallagher? I was really surprised initially also. They thought
Yeah.
De
Did
Paul
you say Noel Gallagher?
Yeah, I think Chintan Bhai is too into Noel Gallagher.
too much into Oasis.
That
But
that's
I think my only concern with them is, of course, they've still not replaced DePaul properly. It's been a big concern for them. Baina is good. Again, I think he's made him play out of position. Had it not been for Lorente, guys, I think Atletico would have struggled
yeah.
even more. That man is single-handedly carrying the club. Alvarez, of course, again, I don't know. This might be an unpopular opinion, but he didn't have a fantastic season last season. मतलब,
No, not at
तो
all.
बहुत ही hot and cold होता है. Some games, if he's switched off, he's quite off. And I did not get, to be honest, last season से तो मुझे चोलो के subs भी समझ में नहीं आ रहे. Against La Real in the finals also, he pulled them off. Like he pulled off this guy also, Alvarez. I was very surprised. What was he doing? To be honest, I think he's overstayed his welcome. Cholo should have left. That's what I think is, and I know how much people will agree. But if you ask me, as Advik like amazingly said that they've always spent a lot of money. So for me, I think they've underachieved with how much they've spent over the seasons. With of course, Griezmann is probably one of the most skillful players in that team, and
yeah.
I have this very bittersweet taste for Atletico Madrid, where I feel they should have won more league titles. I think Champions League, of course, of course they should have won at least one Champions League against Real Madrid. They had a better team, they played better, but of course Real Madrid being Real Madrid just this just grinded it out. So अगर मेरे को बोले overall picture देखे, I'm very disappointed at how Atletico has performed last season. बहुत ही you can't give up. Even if you are the third team chasing top two, you can't still give up mid-season. You have to stay in there. And only thing is, I'm very happy that Kangan Lee's come, because we'll get to see more of him.
Oh, by the way, that's part of a whole marketing campaign as well. I'm sure Abhik knows like how they aim to tap into the whole South Korean market, which they've already become.
I totally agree, but as a player, he's a good player. We didn't see a lot of him.
I rate him a lot. I rate him a lot.
Yeah, so we'll get to see more of him right now. But Abhito, of course, there's a big knife hanging over Atletico Madrid and Barcelona and Real Madrid.
We will come to that.
So my point, if you lose him, regardless of who you replace Julian Alvarez with, it's going to be a massive dent in Atletico Madrid's challenge. An uphill task, but a big dent for them if they lose Julian Alvarez. So I think that I hope this is Cholo's last year.
Wow, I kind of disagree with that. Before we just move on to things, and guys, we'll be taking your comments. Just be patient, because you have to run through 20 clubs and kind of cover everything. So just be patient today and hang around. But the thing is, I kind of disagree with this only because I feel a big. You can weigh in your opinion, because for me, Atletico Madrid, I know they spend a lot, which is fair, and Cholo is a highly paid coach and all of that. I get it. Yeah. The point is, they're a very overall. If you see the board dynamics, right, they're a very poorly run club in that sense, with the internal politics that go on. And I feel if Cholo would have left even a year, or even let's say 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I think the sink would have the ship would have sunk badly, and like really badly, because I just feel that's how the internal politics that go on within that club are really bad. And I understand, yes, some of his signings don't really work, and some of the signings are puzzling, like as I said, Sorloth, Nico Gonzalez. Like you look at these players and you're like, what really is going on? But then I feel what he's managed to do from where Atletico Madrid were in those initial years when they broke through, won the Copa del Rey, the Bernabeu, he's managed to establish a standard hanging in there with Real Madrid, Barcelona, which we saw in the past how Valencia fell off, Villarreal fell off in the 2010s. It's not an easy thing to do, man. That's just where I stand. Like I get where Chintan Bhai is coming from, and I do agree. Maybe after a year or so, I think he needs to consider going. But for me, it's like, had Cholo left like a year or two ago, or even 4 years or something like that, it would have been a proper problem for them. Just a couple more things in the market, from the market standpoint, obviously, because it's like, yet to be announced per se. Cuti Romero obviously is the big money signing, Abhik. And obviously the departure is Ruggeri. The less said, the lesser spoken about that guy, the better for off the field reasons, of course. But just coming to Romero, right? I asked Chintan Bhai what Atleti need, but how much for you does the Christian Romero signing kind of elevate their game? Because now you're looking at a player. Obviously, if you get his Argentina version, that is, of course, more than not.
Yeah.
How much does he allow Cholo to play in this, in this high line, or rather solidify this new flair Atletico Madrid have had for a couple of years? Because it's time to break this misconception, that Atleti play, five, like only defensive brand of game, they park the plane. It's not been true for over 2 years. It's, we know they've changed their style of play. How much for you is this of a statement signing, and like how much does he really help Atletico Madrid on all fronts in all competitions to participate, basically?
I think Cuti Romero's signing is, of course, very important because he is kind of like the player that I think Diego Simeone would want. And the reinforcements that he has made, it's all like Alex Grimaldo to the left of Cuti Romero, Hulman to the front of Cuti Romero. So I guess, again, as I said, when they move in the market, it's very calculated. All the moves are very important. And if you look at even the performances behind the centre back, Oblak has not had a great season. Fuan Musso has almost replaced him. You need someone that steps up in the defense because you already have Hansko, you already have Mark Kubil. They are not if they're fit, they're not moving. So how do you sort of go get a elevation over that sort of player? You bring someone that's already experienced. You bring someone that's a world champion. You bring someone that can be a leader in defense, because Atleti, as I said, this season they lost a leader in Antoine Griezmann as well.
Yeah.
Being a signing like that has already proven itself on the big stage. Yeah, I know for Tottenham Hotspur end of last season, he was not really a leader, moving to Argentina to watch a game, and it was very controversial. But I think if he finds his place among the many Argentinians in Atletico Madrid, he'll feel quite comfortable being managed under Diego Simeone as well. And it will also help them if they again sort of decide that, okay, we are safely in 3 competitions. We are in the Copa del Rey. We are going deep in the Champions League and La Liga. It will help them in rotation. Like they don't have to. They can start Cuti Romero in the big games, in the important games, and they don't have to rely on their academy center backs that are gonna concede like 4 goals at the back. They can safely, reliably sort of not over risk anything, and it would just be a very important signing in that regard, not just in terms of what they do on the pitch, but as I said, with the leadership aspect, with the rotational aspect. I think I would, again, Diego Simeone's talent ID, I will never doubt it. He's the man.
Yeah, and before we just quickly wrap up Atletico Madrid, we have Shivam in the house, our in-house Barcelona and River Plate fan. We have he was requesting me to finish Barcelona first because he's not in the mood to talk about Barcelona. But Chintan bhai, don't blame me because Chintan bhai pushed me to cover Atleti first. Abhik is the witness over here, so you cannot blame me.
Yeah, but I wanted to cover because I was waiting for Shivam actually.
Shivam, no, he did not want to talk about Barcelona at all. So I'm sorry, Shivam, but you have to.
You didn't tell. By the way, Shivam बहुत ही manipulative है. उससे मेरे को ये बताया नहीं कि Shivam.
I didn't tell him though. I didn't tell him. That's also true.
I was actually waiting for it. But guys, I know Cuti Romero. Is it only just me that I like him as a defender, but he's been sang as probably the best defender in the world, which I don't think is the best centre back in the world. And they have Pubil. I think he's probably a very good centre back. Yeah. Anyone can be, all 4 of us can be better than Longley, So I think it's not a difficult job to have an upgrade. उस पे upgrade होना तो बहुत difficult काम है नहीं. I know Shivam will 100% agree with that. So I know Romero is a good signing. He's a marquee player, but then again, he has temper issues, I feel. And
of course.
So I don't know. Only saying how much. My question to both La Liga fans and Param is, how much are Atletico Madrid going to squeeze Koke now? Because he's 34, 35 now.
Yeah,
he had a good season last season. I think he was probably one of the better players for Atletico Madrid last season.
Yeah.
Shivam, abhi tu just aaya. I'll start with you. I know you like Koke a little bit. Shivam, और कितना खींचेंगे ये लोग Koke को? मेरे को बता. How much do you think they can squeeze everything out of Koke? And what are your opinions on generally how Atletico Madrid will be?
And then before Shivam just starts, let me just, for the people who forgotten, Koke touched 60 games, if I'm not wrong, across all competitions last season. That's insane, by the way. That's crazy. He is, as you said, he is like right now 34. He's just about to turn 35 or something. But yeah, that's still crazy. Shivam, go ahead. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons Koke last season played a lot of games was simply because Cardoso आते injured हो गया and he kept on getting injured game after game. Barrios को overplay करना पड़ा and then second half Barrios खेला ही नहीं. The problem वहीं पे थी squad building की. I don't agree with people saying कि they had a very good squad because if you talk about actual
Yeah, yeah.
मतलब वो actual उनकी squad building बात करें, you have players like Gallagher not made for La Liga at all. He is terrible player. मतलब वो press resistant बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. And then
Yeah.
you have
Not made for football. Not at La Liga.
By
Is
the way,
not made for football.
Shivam, before you joined, Chintan Bhai in the flow of things called him Noel Gallagher.
Oh, too much Oasis. But I don't consider him as a footballer only. Forget La Liga
Yeah,
worthy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh god.
then
Yeah,
you
go
have
on, Shivam.
Thiago Almada, who is equally bad.
Oh boy.
मतलब I when I said जब वो अल्माडा आया था एटलेटिको में तो एक मेरा ग्रुप था उसमें मैंने बोला था कि this is a terrible signing. So there were Argentina fans by the way जो कह रहे थे कि no he's a very good for playing for country and playing for club is two completely different things. And Almada is a horrible person and he's also a horrible footballer.
Yeah.
So basically
That's pretty much.
so midfield depth ideally उनके पास थी नहीं. The good thing which they did was they got two youngsters. Mendoza had a
Yeah.
solid start at AK. उन्होंने उनको विंटर में ले लिया and they got Obed Vargas. I think
Yeah.
Vargas did a fantastic job for them. मेरे को expect नहीं था कि MLS से कोई player आ रहा है and he will step up really well. One of the big reasons why Atleti defeated Barcelona in Champions League was Simeone applied that tactics in that game. Uh, Obed Vargas को खिला के and he neutralized Pedri.
Yeah.
Champions League के second leg में he applied the same tactics using Llorente and Koke और Pedri का game पूरी तरह से neutralize कर दिया. तो
Hmm.
मेरे को लगता है कि वो दोनों का रोल इम्पोर्टेंट होगा. आई थिंक वन माइट गो ऑन लोन बट मेरे हिसाब से मेंडोजा को जाना चाहिए बिकॉज ही मोर अभी उसको उतना एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है. एंड ह्यूलमैन की साइनिंग कैसे होगी वो देखना. बट लाइक आई हैव नॉट
Yeah. I
बट
just
आई
want to add my 2 cents on that before you continue because he's a fantastic player. I'll tell you, Morten Ullman, Chintan Bhai, you remember him at Lecce when he was there. He was wanted by the entirety of Serie A. I mean, the top clubs, of course. He and obviously went to Sporting ever since then. And what a coup for Sporting because Sporting, mein, he essentially was, if you really even go through the past through 2-3 seasons, he was carrying the midfield. Like the thing with Shivam, if I had to give you a profile of his, right, he leans more towards a 6. But he's again a hybrid of a 6 and 8, and he's very, very press resistant. And a press resistant midfielder that is technically legit good and like very calm on the ball, even while carrying it. He's not the fastest player out there, so that could be a bit of a problem. Which at times he does have those kind of heavy-footed moments, but very, very elegant 6. I really like watching him, man.
Right,
Like,
you're talking to someone who just hired Amorim, and he wanted him. The first player he asked for was him, by the way.
yeah,
So
exactly.
we asked for him, and we couldn't get him. But yeah, man, like this is
The
something
Even
good
good.
Xabi Alonso wanted him at some point. At Real
Yeah,
Madrid.
yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you guys because we'll be discussing this in the same format for everyone. For you guys, for the rest of the panel, what is that one? I would say, like rather, or who is that one player y'all are looking forward to a couple, whatever, even if it's a couple of players, and what is that one area y'all really think Atletico Madrid need to improve to kind of build and do much better than last season? So y'all can start anyhow. We can start with Abik first.
Well, the thing about Atletico Madrid, again, as I said, when you look at them, when before the game starts, you're like, oh my God, they're stacked. You know, they've got Lookman on the wings, Giuliano Simeone running down the flanks. Last season they had Griezmann, but of course he was not at his prime. And then Julian Alvarez, who also was not having the best of seasons. And he had a good season until the halfway point of the season, and then he just fell off. Well, this season, Kang In Lee's inclusion to the team, how much will that sort of fill that Griezmann role? We still have to wait and see, because I think that Atleti are a team that has to have these sort of players who are drifting in and out of the pockets, leaving runners free, sort of allowing the wingers to sort of take on the fullbacks. And I think if Kang In Lee, I'm sure he will not reach the sort of level that Griezmann was in his very first season, very first 6 months. He'll take some time. Having Hulman as if they play a double pivot, as he said, Koke is going to finally get some rest. That's going to be sort of freshness to the midfield as well, because Llorente can also most of the times play in the midfield. He doesn't need to play as a right back all the time. Then you've got Kubil there who can take care of things. So I just think it is that sort of free-moving player that they always needed. Like when, of course, Griezmann was there, he was not playing all the games. He was getting substituted 60 minutes on, 65 minutes on. Just that, and looking at, again, as I mentioned, the goalkeeping aspects. If Oblak is stepping up this season, maybe Juan Musso doesn't sort of break into the first team. But last season, Oblak's stats were probably not the best, not something you
Yeah,
expect
not
from.
at all.
Yeah, which is why Musso was like very favored by Atleti fans. I talked to some of them, and they were like, "Yeah, I think Oblak's this season was not the best." And yeah, so I guess that also is a problem with Atleti. They didn't really sort of reinvest in the goalkeeping position. They have Musa. They trust Musa, and yeah, I think, as I said again, the sort of
Mhm.
free flowing midfielder role is where Kangin Lee should
Yeah,
shine.
yeah, fair, fair.
I feel where the goal is going to come from is an issue for me.
Mm. Oh,
Goals
of
keep
course it's going
hanging.
to be Sorloth. How dare you question Alex Sorloth, man?
How
How
dare
dare
I
you?
correct him? Julian Alvarez, if he's on his way to Shivam's club, then we don't know. But as of now, we don't know where the goals. And I think their left side, they've got Grimaldo, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh, Ruggeri, I think, is a backup. I don't think their left side
No,
is that
Rogeri's
strong.
gone to Aston Villa. Rogeri's
I think,
Aston
gone to
yeah,
Villa,
he's
Aston.
yeah.
moving.
I think they have no
They are
backup
they
for.
are looking to replace him. I think wasn't it that
Salinas,
who? Sorry.
Salinas from Racing.
Yeah, yeah,
Italy.
Salinas, exactly. Salinas who's linked with as
But
the
yeah,
backup.
so if they need to, because they don't have any backup. But my concern is going to be Julian Alvarez. Even if he stays, mental state kya rahega uska? Is he going to be
Yeah, exactly.
100%? So when other as of course we just spoke about Griezmann, that guy was magic. I think people
Yeah,
underestimate how beautiful Griezmann was with the ball at his
yeah,
feet. Just to get in that position, unbelievable player. They're going to miss that. I don't know how are they going to replace him. Of course, Kangin Lee, too much pressure on him.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Directly. So my concern is always going to be where are they going to get those goals from?
yeah.
Mm. Shivam,
My
one question I have for you. You can give your thoughts with that. You look at this squad now. Like obviously, it's still. I mean, you still have some. Obviously, you leave Alexander Sorloth aside. You leave the Julian Alvarez situation aside. You still have your Lookman in there. You still, as Chintanbhai said, there is Grimaldo. Giuliano Simeone has been doing well. Overall, there is like a combination of players that has had a good summer. That if you really look at it, like obviously Cardozo, he couldn't play the World Cup, but he was also kind of settling in eventually. You still have a solid squad in there. Baina had a good World Cup as well. So for you, what do you like? For you, what is that area like you think that needs to be filled right now for Atleti to take the next step? Basically?
I think it's very simple. It's the striker position because the way how Diego Simeone sets up his team, he needs one striker who can hold up the ball pretty well, who is very physical, dominant in the air, and who is a very self-sufficient guy. That means he can
Yeah,
create chances not only for himself but for other players as well. And that is the profile which they have been basically what people think about Sorloth, the idea of Sorloth that okay, that he's a big guy, he's a tall guy, he's gonna win a lot of
yeah,
headers, and he can hold the ball. He does nothing like that. So they need a striker who can actually replace him. There are a lot of options. I mean, you had a player like Alvaro Rodriguez from Elche. He has gone to
yeah,
Bournemouth for just 25 million. They could have easily gotten him. And there are a lot of profiles of someone like Brian Brobby from Sunderland, you have Girassi from Dortmund. There are, in fact, La Liga is a league which is filled with these kind of strikers throughout the past. I remember players like Chris Ramos from Cadiz. They would have done a much better job than what Sorloth is currently doing. So even though he scores a lot of goals, but I don't think that he is the kind of player who actually benefits the system as to what Diego Simeone is trying to
yeah,
do. So if they, let's say, sell Sorloth, and as per rumors, if they actually go on and bid for Osimhen, then that would be something a statement
yeah,
thing, but would be extremely difficult. My preferred choice uh, would be Igor Jesus from Nottingham Forest. I think he's the perfect kind of striker who can complement Julian Alvarez pretty well because I think Alvarez will stay at Atletico Madrid. He has a release clause. So yeah, that is my thing.
yeah.
And
Fair.
obviously, one more area. Uh, that guy Robin Lenormand, he should not.
Yeah,
I mean, he should not start importing games. Like I have seen he was struggling against Levante's third choice striker last season when they drew 0-0. He was
yeah,
the problem with Lenormand is he's not a bad defender like Longley, but like the way he receives the ball, the way he orients his body, that automatically puts the other, a midfielder who's gonna hold the ball into pressure. He does not gauge the situation around him pretty well. So that's my
Yeah.
issue with Leno.
Yeah, fair. I think the strike before we just close out Atletico Madrid and move to your beloved club. I think it is fair to say because when Atletico Madrid do transition from that 5 off the ball and into that 4 in that very fluid 4 which they do, we've seen it often that they do miss that presence which as you said Sora doesn't offer. Like it's there is this misconception that just because he's a big guy he can hold on to the ball, he can control it well, and we even saw it with Norway. For those who don't watch maybe Atletico Madrid as much, he struggled to do that as well. Simple layoffs, basic things. That's the
Yeah.
misconception, and I can, as you said, I can picture it. If they sort that out, it just fixes so many basic issues because essentially second balls stop being an issue for them. You have good players that can track that down, especially with Hulman now in midfield. So yeah, so we'll come to the prediction because we're just discussing a few clubs right now. Shivam, we'll then start ranking them in the TR maker later. So we'll hold off on our prediction for Atletico Madrid. Just quickly, just name one player you guys think will have that star season for Atletico Madrid as things stand with their squad now. You don't have to explain anything; just name the player. Starting
Pablo
with
Barrios.
Sorry, Pablo Barrios.
I think Llorente is not allowed. I think उसका नाम नहीं ले सकते. I think he
You
can't.
can you.
Llorente is I think he has a 10 on 10 season every year. But Cordosa and Barrios ka midfield, I'm very excited to see.
Fair, Abhik, what do you think?
Well, I would have gone for Barrios, but since everyone said Barrios, I'm gonna go for Mark Hubil. I know he's already had a good season when he was at Almeria.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
of course,
I was going to go for Mark Hummel
Yeah.
as well. So, that's pretty much
Because the world could not see him at the World Cup as well because
Yeah.
I think even towards the later part of the season last time around,
Yeah.
he didn't really shine. So maybe this time is when he gets his big sort of.
Yeah,
people get
I just have a
eyeballs on him.
sneaky feeling as well with whatever I guess time it takes for Alvarez to sort his thing out. I think Lukman will really be carrying that attack
Yeah.
until I really rate him a lot. So let's move on to Barcelona. I think Chitar will let
Yeah, let's go. Let's
start
go.
with Shiv.
No,
It's only
Barca का question मैं पूछूंगा. मैं. As first of all, like you've got to give it to Barcelona. How many players? 8 players in the World Cup squad. I think 8 to 9 players Barca had in that World Cup squad. Absolutely
7 now
fantastic.
with Ferran gone.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
Ferran.
But Rodri is coming, so
Hey,
Yeah, it's not done yet. But yeah, Shivam थोड़ा गंभीर सोच में आ गए हैं.
Yeah, he's
But
like,
yes, of course.
should I log out?
But yeah, I'm going to directly go for Shivam here. Shivam, man, like you would have been happy to see Barca players in the World Cup. I was very happy to see how Olmo performed. Olmo usually gets 50, 60 minutes for Barcelona with Hansi Flick. Hansi Flick, Highline. Let's start with the player I want to talk about, Barcelona, and that is not Lamine Yamal. And I'm going to start with you, Shivam, is Kubarsi. Honest answer शिवम देना, कुबारसी का लेवल जो वर्ल्ड कप में उसने दिखाया है, did he surprise you? Of course you knew he was talented, but did he surprise you with his maturity, with his the what he showed on the pitch? Were you surprised, positively surprised by his performance in the World Cup?
Yes. I mean, I knew कि Kubarsi was this good. He जब वो Xavi के अंडर भी था, then he performed pretty well. But the composure which he showed in this World Cup was incredible. मतलब he took his game to like next level, and Spain were never really in trouble. Apart from that, वो एक Belgium वाले game में where he missed that header. Apart from that, he was flawless in throughout the entire World Cup. So very good man. He has performed pretty well. He knows the system pretty well, and I hope so he keeps on doing.
A bit, yeah, like a bit like of course, chasing players like Julian Alvarez and now Rodri, of course. And I really don't think that Barca midfield looks fantastic, but of course, Julian Alvarez needed. My question to you is, इतने time से आप लोग chase कर रहे हैं one player. I know, of course, if you get him, nothing like it. I think he's quite a Barca-coded player for me.
Mhm.
But do you think Barca has wasted too much time chasing a player like him and have missed out on other players? Like you could have gotten Osimhen also. Victor Osimhen is also quite good. So do you think that Barca has wasted too much time and the league is now starting?
I think Barca waited one season too late. I think they should have been planning for Lewandowski's departure a season ago. I mean,
Yeah.
they were hooked on this idea that Julian Alvarez would be easy to get, even though Atleti have never in the recent few years made any transfers easy, especially after the Griezmann debacle with Barcelona. But yeah, even in this transfer window, I think it's already 15 days to go before the window closes, and now they're linked with Luis Suarez, not the Luis Suarez of
Yeah, of
Luis
course.
Suarez.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
been two Luis Suarez's that played for Barcelona, and any one of them could do right now, but not the one. I mean, no offense to the Luis Suarez of Sporting, but yeah, I mean, I think Barca, just because they signed players like Anthony Gordon and Karim Adeyemi, who have this sort of, they will not be the lethal, they would not be a classic number nine, but they can sort of fit in. And then Barca, of course, is so famous for its false nine idea. If they can allow Dani Olmo, who has proven many times that he can sort of play as a false nine or as a second striker, but or even Fermin Lopez, but I think Fermin Lopez is better as a box crasher sort of person. If you put him at the helm of the attack, he won't do anything. If he plays behind the striker, he's better. So Barca, and also I forgot to mention Hamza Abdel Karim has had a good preseason. His
Yeah,
videos
yeah, yeah.
Egypt, and of course with Al Ahly, which is why they made the move for him. I think Barca are just a bit, yeah, they have been a bit lean, sort of lethargic with making moves. Deco is now in like he's in panic mode right now. I mean, they're trying to like take all the attention towards Rodri, but I think you can sign Rodri and you can sign another center back, which they haven't.
Yeah.
But I think Julian Alvarez. Once you got the no, and once you saw that other parties are getting involved, I think it was better to just move on and hope for something else. I think they could have done something much
I
better a season ago, but I think
Fair, I
right now,
agree. I just want to add like 2 cents to what Abhik said before I want to ask Shivam something because he you mentioned a center back and I think that should have because somebody mentioned obviously Barca, why could they chase someone like a Cuti Romero? Of course, Barca were linked, but they were like the third club behind almost Atletico and Inter to kind of be
yeah,
involved in that. And obviously, not that Ronald Araujo, what we all know what happened in this scenario. He was always leaving. And
yeah,
Shiva, मेरा चीज वही है कि जो you and me have had these discussions a lot of time, right? We know the issues with Flick. He's going to stay adamant to his approach. Obviously in his 2 seasons now उसने एक वो culture build कर दिया है अभी एक approach set हो गया है सब हो गया है now you'll have won back-to-back La Liga titles and now the missing piece is obviously the Champions League जिसमें the approach the way you all play essentially costs you the semi-final of course in between Inter Barca clearly showed that if you come up against a team with proper athleticism and a proper let's say precise counter-attacking game plan, Barca do suffer because they do not really have that solid. Of course, now Kubarsi has leveled up that's a different thing. But don't you really think he still needs a proper? You really need a center back as a priority right now because another season of these gaping defensive issues can't do right. For me that's more glaring more than anything because for me you still have different ways to solve the attacking problems. Not to say that you all don't need a striker. Don't get me wrong. But for me, Barcelona in general just leak way too many goals. And yes, I know somebody will say, yeah, you know what, Barcelona have the tendency to outscore teams like they did last season, right? But then when you came up in the Champions League, it did not entirely work out for twice in a row. So what's your take on that, Shivam? I personally feel it should be a centre back right now over anything. What's your take on that?
Yes, if we talk about transfers, then it should be centre back. But my main problem is with the manager and his approach. It's okay, it's fine for entertainment, and you consistently outscore your opponents. But at one point of time, you need to take a step back and you need to understand that when to, settle your rest defense. You are conceding chances left, right, and center. Uh,
Hmm.
Offside can be used as a trap, but it can't be used as your sole strategy. Now, because of those offside traps, there are certain players who are not looking good. I think Kunde, for example, I mean, his level has dropped significantly. I didn't rate Kunde very highly as a lot of people do. Even from his Sevilla days, I thought Leo Carlos, his partner, was a better centre back. But his level declined, like sharply declined. You only have Kubarsi. The problem with this kind of approach is that your midfielders had to run a lot and had to cover a lot of ground, meaning they tire a lot and you see constant drops of intensity towards the later half of the season. So, in my opinion, rather than getting Rodri, obviously he'll help a lot in terms of possession game. I don't disagree with this. you could have gotten someone like Mamadou Sangare, who is a very athletic midfielder. And Barcelona used to sign these kind of players. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
Pedro Pita was a
Oh
very
yeah, see,
big,
yeah,
was
yeah,
Pep Guardiola. He was like nicknamed by Barca fans Pep's 12th man. Sedu Kita always used to come up and put in those numbers. I remember when Enrique made Barcelona win the Champions League. Then
yeah.
throughout the season, he rotated with the likes of Sandro Ramirez, with the likes of Munir El Haddadi, Aitan Cantala Piedra. There were a lot of players which rotated throughout the season. My problem with Hansi Flick is he does not really prefer academy that much, and one of my
Mm,
main issues is that he does not pick and choose his games. Like you were playing the second leg against Atletico Madrid in Champions League, and you had a derby against Espanyol, and you started entirely off your first team. I know
mm,
that derby games are important, but at one point you also have to look one step forward that what is coming. So these
mm,
are certain issues which I think needs to be resolved. I think squad is pretty good. One of my main concern is that the creative fulcrum or the creative force or the creative burden you can say is still on Lamine Yamal because I don't see
mm.
any other tier two level creator who can support Yamal.
Fair,
There are very good
fair.
runners in the squad who can score a lot of goals, but I would have loved someone like a Carlos Alvarez who had a fantastic season with Levante last year, or someone like an Unai who was like really good
Mm,
with Girona last season.
mm.
Alex Calatrava who has gone to Espanyol, he had a good season in
Yeah,
Segunda Division.
yeah.
So I would have wanted a tier two level creator who could have maybe supported Lamine in La Liga, giving him some rest.
परम
Fair.
परम यार एज एन आउटसाइडर हम लोग अभी वी
Yeah,
लुक हियरिंग बारसा फैंस यार व्हेन आई
yeah.
सी द फर्स्ट नेम एंटनी वुड यू एवर थिंक दैट एंटनी गॉर्डन इज अ बारसा काइंड ऑफ लाइक वुड यू
Yeah.
लेट्स अज्यूम अ डेकेड अगो would you have
Mm.
ever imagined an Anthony Gordon signing for Barcelona? Yeah,
Not at
like,
all.
and let me get to the main question. अगर यही करना था, why not keep Rashford who had a decent season last season? Of course, before getting to the boys, I'll ask you, मतलब तू किसको पिक करेगा, रैशफोर्ड को या गॉर्डन को? I think Rashford was quite decent last season, यार.
This is a tough question in that sense because इसका मेरे से भी शिवम से बात हो रहा था. Shivam, I remember his opinion on this Gordon signing is कि he feels overall the standards within the club have that in that sense dropped, and I can't blame him for thinking that in that way. See, look, with Rashford they tried. It's not like they didn't. Obviously, with the whole the transfer fee thing and then being able to kind of register him and afford him within the cap was not possible, and then Manchester United of course held out for what they did. Yeah, you can question the Gordon signing. Even I'm not like fully thrilled about it from an objective standpoint. Like you, I mean, one thing you can say, yes, you can. He does offer that kind of better intensity at pressing and whatnot, and in that sense, he makes more sense for Hansi Flick. But you rightly said Rashford had fit in so well at Barcelona eventually, right? He was kind of having his revival over there, and it is a bit puzzling. Look, you can go and look at the off the pitch dynamics. Gordon has been, kind of he gave said it in his interview as well. I've been learning the language and whatnot. I've whenever the first time he ever heard of the movie, he's been like completely bought into it. So from that sense, maybe you'll get in a player that kind of buys into as what Hansi Flick wants. Because at least when I see Anthony Gordon, when as you said, if I were to go back even 5 years ago or 4 years ago, never did I ever think or imagine Anthony Gordon for play to play for even a I would say top four side. Like I'll be very honest with you. Like having followed his trajectory, I never thought he would be there. Like honestly speaking, and here he is. I mean, yes, he has certain quality, but I kind of lean towards more, more towards Shivam because I still don't entirely see him as that quality chance creating, constant chance creating winger. And then it brings me to the other side of the flank, which is Karim Adeyemi. I've been extremely critical of this guy over God knows how many years. Like I don't blame him for his injuries. I mean, it's something beyond your control after a point, right? And he's just so injury prone. And it's always been the case with him. The end product has not been great. The end product has not been great, even at Dortmund, even with the national team. He's been very on and off. And I remember when he was linked with Serie A clubs, that when Napoli, Juve, Inter. I was like, the day he was linked to Inter, I was like, please just let those rumors go away. I don't want this guy at my club. Like
भाई
I'm
वो
done.
इंग्लिश सालेमेकर्स दिखता है ना, एग्जैक्ट सालेमेकर्स जैसा दिखता है मुझे तो, मतलब आई एम वेरी
But
सरप्राइज हाउ
that's
मच
my
ही
thing,
लुक्स
and I get it. He was available on a cheap, but that just because a player is available on a cheap doesn't mean you go out and get him for the sake of it. That's my issue with what like where I align with him is like where like, and he's not a chance creating winger. Again, he's very direct. He's just going. He's a more of a runner in that sense, and he's all right. Again, he's a very decent level player. So honestly, I agree with Sham. Like I kind of did not get this Adeyemi signing. Gordon, I can still sit here and justify to an extent, which I did, but I'm not a fan of the Adeyemi signing. As you
But
move
by the
on
way,
to
someone Mayank ZBK se hai, by the way, Mayank, he said this.
Hmm.
I've heard a lot
Oh,
of a big. Let me ask you. I've heard a lot of Barca fans wanting. Of course, Betis won't let him go for cheap. Or I think अभी तो of course सवाल नहीं आ रहा है.
Mhm.
Would you have gone for
वो
him too?
उसका इंजरी भी हुआ ना वो तो.
Uh,
Uh,
but but of course, as a profile-wise, fantastic young player. Abhi, what do you think? Do you think Barca missed a trick and just hurried too much for a winger like this, like an Anthony Gordon? What is your take on
yeah,
it? Like, because I know a lot of people are saying in the comments also that Gordon seems like a flick kind of guy.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
what are
yeah.
your takes on Abde and Gordon?
Yeah, just one thing before that, because people were wondering why Rashford didn't fit into Barca. Also, I saw many matches where there was an opportunity for Rashford to get minutes, but Flick would just not bring him on or
Hmm.
bring him on in the late
Yeah,
for
yeah.
just a few minutes. He would prefer to play Dani Olmo on the left, just not Rashford. I don't know. It was a bit puzzling for me, but as I watched more and more towards the end of the season, I kind of figured out that if Rashford is not a Flick sort of player, so extending a loan to another season was never in contention, to be honest. And as of Abde, I was a fan of Abde when he was still a developmental player at Barcelona. And I think letting him go, I don't even remember who they signed after they let him go, because I remember when the Barca had that sort of bad financial phase where they could only rely on like Martin Braithwaite and people
Hmm.
like Luke, like that
You
sort
know,
of era, right? Like I was wondering why do you let Abde go? I mean, I thought Abde, if you let him go, you let him go on loan, but or include a buyback clause. I don't know if they have a buyback clause or not. But yeah, I think he whenever he played, he was very dynamic and he was linking up really well with whoever was playing as number 9 at that time, and he was a profile that I think Barca needed very much, because I think someone mentioned it on Twitter the other day that Barca rarely ever signed left wingers.
Yeah.
After Neymar, they were linked with Athletic
this
Bilbao's
is the
Nico
first
Williams, and there was
signing.
like a 7 year gap
Uh,
before they
yeah,
actually
this is
signed a
the first.
proper left winger, and now they did.
Sorry,
But
sorry. Shyam, were
yeah,
you trying to say something? Sorry, just before you continue a bit.
Gordon,
yeah,
Gordon is the first signing of a left winger ever since Neymar left.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that's
what I was
crazy.
saying.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
But
Yeah,
people
so
thought
go
it
ahead.
would be Nico Williams. People thought it would be Nico Williams last season. It was almost done. And even that time, people were like, if Abdi is available for if there's a buyback clause or something, go for him.
Also,
Yeah, I would have loved to
it's
see
very
Abdi back.
surprising. So this
Hmm.
is one of the second seasons again. You chase Nico Williams. परम पता नहीं कितने सालों Nico Williams को chase किया. Full transfer market. He did not come. Similar story with Julian Alvarez. And of course, you don't end up signing anyone else. And so, Param, as an outsider, but do you think they are wasting too much time on a one particular
Yeah,
target and not? I mean, yeah, Nico Williams के साथ भी same हुआ. Nico
yeah.
Williams ने कुछ बोला बाद में, of course, he stayed. By the
Hmm.
looks of it, it looks like Atletico won't sell him to Barcelona. So, as an
Hmm.
outsider, Param, like, are they wasting too much time with Ferran gone
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Uh, are they
I
now
fully,
really short of a striker?
I fully agree. Like I think it's not just like when I see it with many. We see it with many clubs. I mean, just to go on a bit of a tangent, we saw Jerry Cardinale, your AC Milan's, of course, CEO come in flying on a helicopter to Milan's HQ, and they finally decide to show up and say, you know what, we need to get the market started. My friend, it's already 14th of August. What were you waiting for? Like, why could you fly on that helicopter 10-15 days ago and start? Why was Latanex sitting at Fox Sports and giving commentary instead of working for the club? So my point is, I agree with you in that sense because again, look, Julian Alvarez, you know how Atleti are. I think we've all seen it. Atleti are very stubborn when it comes to letting go of a player. When they've made up their mind, you know what, this guy's not gonna go. He's not gonna go. And look, Julian Alvarez turned up to training on the first day. He's not created any kind of scene. Yes, he's not entirely happy, but he's respected he's respected whatever Atleti are asking him to do in that sense. He's done the training sessions. He's had a conversation with Cholo. He's not playing. I think Atleti are playing a Marseille right now, if I'm not wrong, as things
Yeah,
Yeah,
stand.
so
Yeah,
4
I
players
don't
are
think.
gone. वर्ल्ड
Sorry.
कप से जो लेट आए, जो वर्ल्ड कप से
हाँ,
प्लेयर्स लेट आए वो नहीं है.
yes, correct. I mean, yeah, it's 1-1, and I think Mendoza scored. I think Shivam was
Mendoza
talking about
scored. Yeah,
Rodrigo. Yeah. So point is, I get it. Like Julian Alvarez would elevate this attack tenfold or however you want to put it. but you have to learn to kind of, and this has been the case, as you pointed out rightly. It has been the case with them. What I'm objectively kind of glad to see is the player they're linked with, which is Luis Suarez right now. That is
Very
the
hard
right move.
working.
Again, negotiating with Portuguese clubs is a pain in the ass. Portuguese clubs, they're not obliged to sell. They will not sell even if they don't, even if they're short on money. I can guarantee you on, like, I can quote you on that. Having followed Porto as my kind of second team through and through, it is all. And with Sporting, it is a pain in the ass. But yes, Luis Suarez, let's look at it. It's a first step in the, in that direction to what you're saying. And even Rodri, like, for me, as Shivam said, like, when you get the chance to land a player like Rodri, you can't really look past it, right? And you really solve that transitional defensive issues for Hansi Flick. But my issue for me, it's like you have to prioritize. For me, if you ask me from an objective standpoint, I would still consider a centre back. You call me crazy, but yeah, Rodri feels a bit like a luxury signing to me. Not too much, but a tad bit. I know De Jong's injury and whatnot. I get all of that, but he feels a tad bit more luxury rather than a centre back right now. And look, I get, just before Abhik and Shivam take over, I just get this point as well. I get it that Gordon, he can play like that, and even for his work rate. But you really think about it. Do you need so much burden on Lamine Yamal to create all those kind of chances as well? Is my point of view. So yeah.
By the way, like now, before of course we move on, I have the biggest monkey in the room kind of question. Yeah, Param will agree with me, and of course I'm going to ask the Barca boys here. Yeah, this was the season. World Cup winner Ferran Torres, Lewandowski is gone. This is your season to take up that mantle. Okay, boss, I am the Barca boy. I am the man who's going to lead this attack. A big, was it the brain fade? Like, I know, of course, PSG difficult to decline. I do not understand. If I would be Ferran, I would be thinking World Cup winner who Lewandowski chala gaya hai, more opportunities. A bit. What was that? Were you surprised by this move?
Well, it would be 50-50 for me because I kind of knew the moment Ferran was linked away, and he was linked before even this World Cup final goal, before even the tournament started. PSG were already inquiring about him. And yeah, the pursuit of Julian Alvarez, the way that Barca have conducted it, signaled to Ferran that even if Lewandowski is gone, he's not the main guy. They are chasing Julian Alvarez, right? And why would you not go to PSG? They're back-to-back UCL champions. The manager, Luis Enrique, you're familiar with him already in the national camp, and also Ferran has dated his daughter as well. So there's a lot of familiarity with Luis Enrique. You play with Fabian Ruiz as well there. Yeah, in a way, I think if he stayed at Barca, there was a chance to rectify his legacy, because I don't think he has a sort of good reputation with Barca fans, especially after the comments he made. Like, yeah, if Barca wants to keep me, they have to show that they love me or something. And then the entire Twitter was full of that Johan Cruyff quote, like, if you have second thoughts about playing for Barca, then don't play in Barca or something like that. I think Ferran Torres, if he goes to PSG, he will still be behind the pecking order. He's not going to be a starter, that's for sure. And at Barcelona, he was not a starter, but he had good game time. Lewandowski was last season, he didn't have the best of seasons, and so Ferran Torres was getting a lot of minutes, and he won the Zarra Trophy, which is given to the Spanish player with the most goals in the Liga. Yeah. So there was nothing really wrong with him. Yeah, he was not a priority in the striker position, but just when you play for a club like Barcelona, you have to sort of make those adjustments. I'm sure the fact that now there's Diomande at Real Madrid, Rodrigo is thinking I'm not a priority anymore. Vinicius is there. Carlos Espi. I'm so sad about Carlos Espi as well, because I'm sure he's not getting any minutes. But they stay there, and it's like, eventually there's going to be a moment. Mbappe's, his knee is almost non-existent. He might be out for 2 months starting December. Carlos Espi might get his minutes there. Gonzalo Garcia is gone. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but this is something I always see with players. As soon as a foreign club comes calling, they want to just move away. They don't want to accept the secondary role in La Liga in Spain. Maybe it's the wages. Maybe it's just a bit more. They can play with more freedom if they go to a Paris Saint-Germain, because Ligue 1, and then of course they have two different teams for Ligue 1 and Champions League. Maybe he thinks he's going to be the player in Ligue 1, while PSG play with like Dembele and all those in the Champions League. So yeah, it's not exactly a baffling decision. I can see where he's coming from, but yeah, well.
That's why Borja Iglesias is the greatest striker. Like, he'll always do whatever is
all
needed.
knowledge,
But all that aside, I have a question for you, and we'll move into Abhik and I'll ask Chintan by the same. Simple yes or no, and I just wanted to give a closing thought on on how you expect Barca to play following this question. Is Julian Alvarez coming to Barcelona? Simple yes
No,
or no, and then you can
no.
follow.
No, and I've been saying this before the World Cup. He will not come. He has a release clause. He can go overseas, but he will not come to Barcelona. It is very, I don't know, idiotic to just keep on riding that wave that Julian Alvarez will explode in dressing room as if he is a bomb or something. Julian Alvarez will do this. Julian Alvarez is not coming to Barcelona. It is this. Just
Fair.
better move on and sign couple of other players who you
Fair.
actually need.
I absolutely agree with you. Chintan, bhai, what do you think before I close this question with Abhik and we move to Real Madrid? It,
I don't think he's. I think Atletico Madrid will bench him, but not sell him to Barcelona. So I don't think he's coming.
Yeah.
yeah. I think Abhik, I
Yeah.
guess I'm assuming expecting the same answer from you.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think we can all agree. It just seems too unrealistic. And we'll obviously place Barcelona. We'll give our closing thoughts in the tier maker. Let's move to Real Madrid, guys. Of course, Chintan bhai, since you're wearing the Real Madrid jersey over here, let me start with you. My God, Mourinho's back. What else? Where else should I start? I mean,
Why?
what timing, right? We are doing this preview. His documentary dropped yesterday. I started watching it. The first
I mean, I
episode is
just
on Chelsea. I have reached that inter part, which I'm eagerly waiting to watch, of course. But guys, yeah, he's back, and they've splashed money, of course. They first of all, you know what is the thing here is they've raised money. Whatever the player sales have been youth sales, and that sale to Fulham and everything that was, I guess, essentially still well done. You've got Yan Diomande, you've got Dumfries, of course. But Chintan bhai, what's this early vibe for you? Mourinho back? You think is? I mean, I think that's the most cliche question, and even I want to ask that. Do you think he really still has it to kind of fix things at Real Madrid? What's your take on that?
यार वो बहुत फनी है यार ये 2010 वाला वाइब्स आ रहा है like 2011 वाला like boss like Mourinho back and I'm not saying he's still Mourinho. I don't want to say anything. He's a great manager.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2026 में I did not expect Real Madrid and Mourinho to get back. They got Ancelotti. I'm assuming they're expecting. मुझे
Yeah.
ऐसा लग रहा है this is more of a forget the manager. We are getting a disciplinarian to get
Yeah.
certain things in order with the Vinny and the Mbappe saga going on to manage the ego. I guess that's the case. That happened with, of course, Don Carlo, and he ended up winning Champions League. Got the best, unlocked Vinicius Junior and won the Champions League.
Yeah.
Very very absurd. मेरे को यार एक चीज समझ में नहीं आता है. I've been asking a lot of Real Madrid fans the same question. Perez आके बोलता था that he wants a system coach. They got someone like Xabi Alonso. They beat Barcelona, won the El Clasico.
Yeah.
Pedri was completely neutered in that game. Jude Bellingham had a crazy game. Mbappe had a decent game. You're beating them. You beat them, of course, and then randomly he sat and you go back, go and
He
score.
and that's just before you continue, but the whole Vinicius saga, him losing out there, and the internal friction started, right? So
Exactly.
and then we
And
saw what happened with Arbelo. Arbelo, I don't even want to say anything. The guy was powerless, essentially.
Yeah.
He didn't do
exactly,
anything.
it felt like a puppet, and मुझे यही समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. You are back to Jose Mourinho. It felt a very very Italian team type जो Juventus ने किया था. Thiago Motta को लेके आए, बाद में उसको sack कर लिया, Allegri वापस चाहिए. Like why are you doing that? And what is the whole idea? You gave him players, you bought players. Of course, Xabi Alonso के system के लिए लिया था. Of course, very surprised. I know it's Mourinho. Mourinho can, of course, surprise you. But I know people are very happy with the number of signings they have done. But Bernardo Silva, again, I don't know how useful he's going to be. I hope he proves me wrong. But Marc Cucurella, of course, the सबसे fancy name over there, one of the most fanciest names because had a great World Cup. He had decent with Chelsea also. So yeah, man, I think Real Madrid are there. They are like snapping the market everywhere. But let's not forget they have Vinny and Mbappe together. Will that work? I think he's there for that reason, and I'm at least very happy that I just hope that Mourinho gets the best out of Jude Bellingham because itne sab signings ki I still feel Jude Bellingham is one of their most important players
Yeah,
here.
of course. Of course.
I still think he's their star player. He's that man who has that that grit in him to go and get it. But I think kudos to them that they signed Yeah, I know, I know. I'm going to say it. I'm not saying it just because he was an ex-Inter player, but Denzel Dumfries can be very misleading. Also, I know a lot of people think he's this world beater.
Yeah,
I think Param might agree. Of course, fantastic last 1.5 season. He's been amazing for Inter. But Param might agree. He has his brain fade moments.
yeah,
And Trent नहीं चला था उधर, so you never know if that is going to work or no. But yeah, मतलब it's like the jury is out there for me. I'm very surprised by Mourinho's signing only. बाकी signings तो भूल ही जाओ.
yeah.
फिर
I mean,
Mourinho signing थोड़ा सा.
I mean, before we get to Abhik and Shivam, like we need to remember the context with the elections. I mean, obviously the big money signings, it felt inevitable, right? Because at the end of the day, you didn't we. So, I mean, in the back of our heads, we probably knew Perez was going to get re-elected, but when the competition came along, of course, and all that drama with Haaland's name being put up on El Chiringuito and all that nonsense, of course, it was El Chiringuito. But point is, I think you already got that sense that these guys were going to do something big on the market, right? But not that they don't, but essentially this was going to be one of those market
Yeah.
like the old days where they'll go out and splash. And you see, like even for like I agree with Abhik, I was very shocked. And me and Shiv were talking about Carlos SP, and he was linked with the Lazio Shiv, if you remember, we were discussing, and I was just having some fun. Like I was like, why Lazio of all clubs? He can do much better. And the next day the news breaks, he signed for Real Madrid, and I was so shocked because I kind of agree with Abhi that probably will not get a lot of time to play in here as well. On Dumfries, very quickly, look, obviously from an Inter standpoint, we'll miss the guy, and I would say more than a year. I would say 2.5 years he was good, but if Real Madrid think they've gotten a technically excellent or brilliant player, they're in for a rude awakening. He's not that good technically. He's proper athleticism and power, and he's more of a mentality driven player. Like he needs to feel very good on the day to perform well. Otherwise, he can have his brain dead moment. So that's the case with him. But Shivam, before we get into the market side of things in depth, Shivam, what's your take on this? Like, sure, the big talk of the town right now is कि हाँ Rodri रह गया, चलो नहीं हो रहा है. Rodri preferred Barca or Madrid. 2 seasons without league title, and you know how Real Madrid work, right? उनके given that they're used to winning each and every season something or the other, it hurts on their ego that you know what, we've not won anything at the end of the day. League तो गया, Champions League भी गया, Copa del Rey भी नहीं आया, nothing has come home essentially. You really think this approach of going aggressive on the market basis, the name of the again, not to say these players can't fit, but this approach of bringing back Mourinho, then going for a Bernardo Silva, who's had his ups and downs even with Portugal, and I get club football, national football can be different, but do you really think this approach is going to work? What's your 2 cents on this?
Uh, when initially Mourinho was appointed, I was a bit surprised because if you look at the current trend of La Liga, it's
Yeah,
slightly, I'm not saying extremely, but slightly moving towards a bit higher tempo considering the amount of German influence and the managers which you have in the league. You have Eden Terzic at Athletic Club, you have Rino Matarazzo at
yeah,
Sociedad, uh, you have obviously Inigo Perez is not German, but he is a disciple of Anthony Iraola, and we all know what kind of football he plays. And you also have Hansi Flick. So I was a bit surprised that Madrid took that route. Uh, as far as Madrid's window is concerned, yeah, they have signed a couple of big names, but I don't actually rate Dumfries. Even after his game at Barcelona and even before that, I don't like that player a lot. I think Militao's fitness will be important because he's one of
yeah,
my favorite players in Real Madrid. Unfortunately, he has lost both his knees, but he is still one of their best passers. And Militao, Hoyson, and Rudiger still can be a good backline. Not really sure on what physical fitness will Ibrahima Konate come in. Now, as far as the signings are concerned, I think Bernardo, yes, there are some doubts as to what he can provide. He can be an absolute rat, but one thing which Bernardo really does well, whenever you look Bernardo playing, I mean, he drops pretty deep. What he does is he turns pretty well. He
mm,
draws his marker pretty well, which opens up the spaces for a lot of centre backs to progress the ball. And I think that is one of the things which Real Madrid have been missing last season. So I think in that aspect, Bernardo can help a lot. I'm still not very comfortable with their midfield,
yeah,
considering there is no proper DLP. But if you look at Mourinho, and we are yet to see what kind of system will Mourinho deploy. I think if Mourinho deploys like his old school, like sit back and try to hit on counters, considering the signings which they have made, I think it's a
yeah,
squad pretty well. suited to attack on counters and players who can exploit the spaces pretty well, be it Yan Diomande, be it Vinicius, be it Mbappe. I think it's a squad which might be more suited to Champions League as compared to something like a La Liga. Uh, and so let's see what happens. I'm actually happy for SP signing. I think he's a good striker who can hold up the ball pretty well. And last time when Madrid signed a player from Levante, I mean, he created history, Keylor Navas. So I hope that does not happen again.
Yeah, fair. Abhik, that was a nice way to put it. Coming to you, I kind of agree with this one take that maybe they do need like a press resistant player in there, because I honestly, I mean, over the last few seasons, how many times have I've lost count of the times I've seen Real Madrid's kind of defensive transition get sliced up easily and they concede. And it's true, I kind of get it, because like even if you look at someone like a Kamavinga overall and someone, it just doesn't, you just clearly can get a stock of it. Yeah, you know what, there is no press resistant midfielder whatsoever. How, let's assume they don't sign one, how do you see them addressing this issue from a Mourinho standpoint? Because Mourinho, yes, as Chintan Bhai said, he's here to first sort out the toxic
Yeah.
elements in the dressing room, weed all
Yeah.
that out. He's already made it clear with all the behavior. We've been seeing the news with the whole dietary changes and whatnot, like
Yeah.
rules and everything, like he did back in the day with Casillas and whatnot. So, but from a tactical standpoint, how does a Mourinho in 2026 sort these things out where they probably might not get that kind of a player in midfield? What's your take on that?
Just,
Yeah.
just, just one more before Abhik answers it. I had one question. I was really thinking about what if, rather than going these fancy names which people are also suggesting in comments, what if Madrid get someone of their own, like Antonio Blanco? I think he can be a really good option in La Liga games for the DLP profile if you're looking. He might not be that big of an impact in, let's say, a Champions League game, but he was in Madrid. He knows the club. He has been pretty well at Alaves. So, what's your take on that? On finding someone from La Liga itself?
Yeah, I think Abhik, you should answer these two questions combined. It would
Yeah.
make a lot of sense.
Yeah. No, that's what I was when I was looking at Mourinho's system. He's playing like a 4-2-3-1, which Real Madrid don't usually. Most of the times they prefer to play in a 4-3-3, or they do different things up front. I'm just looking at the names that they have in midfield. As Shivam mentioned, they first thing they should have actually searched for was a DLP, like someone. Ever since Tony Cruz left, there has not been a proper
Yeah.
replacement. I mean, everyone has been expecting to do that role. Jude Bellingham, just because he had that great first season when he was like in the box all the time, he never really sort of, even in the following seasons, he never really came back. He was like thinking, okay, I
Yeah.
will try to sort of create everything. But I think that sort of, we saw what happens with Madrid's left side. I even wrote like a whole column about this. Like everyone in the Madrid attack wants to go to the left. Jude Bellingham
Yeah,
wants to go to the left.
Exactly,
Mbappe is goes to the left. Vinicius
Overlapping
goes to the
spaces.
left.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even Rodrigo, who not he doesn't play now, but when he was playing, Rodrigo,
left.
he wants to play to the left. So Valverde was the only guy that was going up and down the flanks, and because he was playing as a right back, so there's so much makeshift things going
Yeah.
on. Like there's
Yes.
no cohesive structure, and I think, yeah, I mean, Antonio Blanco, as he mentioned, why not try him out? It was a preseason. I mean, I just saw the last game. They tried Camavinga and Bernardo Silva in as a pivots, as a double pivots. How much press resistance can Bernardo Silva provide in the big 2026? I don't really know. We have to see a game in La Liga to really to sort of know, because La Liga, as he mentioned, the Champions League is a different story. La Liga is a different story. It's like, I think 15 out of the 20 teams will prefer to play much lower. They'll try to soak in the pressure, and the moment they see sort of a window to press, they will step up. That's how the story of maybe 15 out of the 20 clubs. Well, Mourinho, if he has something in store, I haven't seen anything like that yet, it's also the question I was thinking, what can they do? Vitinha, I don't think he was ever really linked. Anyways, if he was, I don't think PSG will ever let him go.
Yeah, he wouldn't have.
No
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
I think he himself made a social media post the very moment he was linked, saying that with the PSG flag around his back
Yeah.
or something like that. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that I think one thing I would like to say here before we just discuss a bit more of Real Madrid and we move on is, I think what Mourinho has come in to do is kind of simplify things here, because as you said,
Yeah.
the kind of confusion that is there, whether it's the dressing room, whether it's on from a tactical standpoint, as you said, the overlapping spaces, whatnot. I think we know with 2026 Mourinho also you're going to get that kind of simplicity in
Hmm.
that sense, because somebody in the comments, excuse me, mentioned how he went unbeaten with Benfica. I just want to point out that yes, he was, but again, as somebody who watches that league kind of often, he did have a few flaws here and there. He did have a bit of off pitch issues with Benfica, but he managed it well overall. It was a very rotten club when he joined, and
Hmm.
what he did even at Benfica is kind of decentralize things, simplify things a lot. Like from a tactical standpoint, you know what, you have a defined role. You have a defined role. Don't f it up. Players that were good enough, certain some of them he benched them as well. He wasn't afraid to do that. So that is why he could get Benfica to finish second again. You probably were looking at a third or fourth place finish for Benfica otherwise. I think Chintan, it's fair to say at Real Madrid, the first task, what I feel also is to kind of do this, because right now I think even with the signings he's made, there can be some sort of this confusion. But I think now that he's there from the beginning, going and whatever news we are seeing behind the scenes, he started to make changes. I think somebody mentioned the whole I think Vinny and I think Mbappe dynamic. I don't think we really questioned that, but the point is, I think this whole process. I think the only way to really cope for it, to kind of seep into it tactically, is to kind of you start simplifying things, and which hasn't been the case at Real Madrid for a while. I mean, you've
Yeah.
rightly said, look at the signings they've made. It just reeks of so much confusion if you really think
Yeah.
about it. So I think that's unfair to say. Chindan, I
That
sorry, go ahead.
मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ द स्क्वाड द नंबर ऑफ प्लेयर्स है बट इट डजंट सीम लाइक अ वेरी वेल असेंबल्ड स्क्वाड फॉर मी it looks like I know and I think Kamavinga जो expectations थे उससे of course injury did his role. He was made to play wing back position, so I don't think he's lived up to it. And Chouameni is not the player. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of Chouameni anyways. And as a big fan, I think Tony Cruz is a player they've missed, and probably Rodri
Of
would
course,
help.
that
But then again,
Yeah.
Rodri isn't as good a ball distributor as Tony Cruz was. I think Rodri suits Barca more. अगर मेरे
Yeah.
को पूछा जाए तो I think Barca, because what Rodri did for Spain against France, that high press जो attack उसने तोड़ा था, that is what Barca would love to do it, because Barca play high line. So again, I feel something feels incomplete about this Real Madrid team to me.
Yeah.
And I think I know, of course, they kept Vinny Jr. And of course, a lot of Real Madrid fans. It's about divided opinions. Hote guys. Should Vinny stay? Should he not? Some people say Mbappe. This happens, and this. I think अगर चला भी गया होता तो, but yeah, I think ये discipline के लिए रहा है. Like they've got him for discipline, but then again, I feel there's something missing in this squad, man.
Shivam, I want to
Uh,
ask you just on that note, because Shivam mentioned Antonio Blanco. Then obviously Kima Andres is also there, and he's been quite decent for Stuttgart. I've watched a bit of him here and there. Shivam, do you want to double down on your claim of this, saying that yeah, rather have players like these, and if specifically you want to answer this question as well, floor is yours.
Uh, regarding who?
And you mentioned obviously in midfield having players like Antonio Blanco and Kima Andres, right? Correct. Do you want to answer
Yeah,
this question, and kind of do you think it's fair to double down on your claim of having such players to kind of solidify that gaping hole in midfield, or do you think Real Madrid is kind of going about it the right way now that Mourinho is there?
I think that was the profile which they were missing and they are still missing. I, if you are not okay, let's say Rodri deal is not complete, then what? I mean, is your market really over? Because if you are going after Rodri, then it means that you require a player like that of that role. My my thing was, if you are not getting Rodri, at least get a cheap option who can help you games in La Liga. And let's say if you are playing even a low block type of a system, or let's say classic Mourinho system, and you bring on someone like a Blanco, or I have personally not seen Sima Andres, so I can't say anything. But let's
Fair.
say if he's that good, so he can come on and he can control the game. So yes, maybe it was a thing, because Blanco is actually linked with Villarreal, so he is more likely to be.
Hmm.
it would have made much sense if that kind of profile would have been available in Real Madrid squad. And I'm just naming Blanco because I've seen him in La Liga. He's one of my
Fair, fair.
uh, favorite players, and he does pretty well for Alaves. So yeah, let's see how Mourinho does. I think one player on which we haven't talked about, Real Madrid's most expensive player in history, Yan Diomande. I think the amount of pressure which Diomande
Yeah,
will have on his shoulders, that will be insane because I really liked Diomande when he was at Leganes, but I didn't know that he'll explode. I mean, not really exploded in Bundesliga, but considering how the market is these days and how Leipzig wants to do so, huge responsibility on that young kid to immediately come to Real Madrid in big pressure situation. Considering the fact that Madrid are going
I think Shivam is stuck. I think he's stuck. But
Well,
Abhi, do you
I
want
just
to?
wanted
step up,
to,
but I think
yeah, I
he
just
Yeah.
wanted to.
show something.
Wait. He's back. Just let him. I think
Yeah.
Shivam, you're back now. You were frozen. You can continue.
Yeah, I was just saying that let's see what Diomande does and if he can show. I hope that the price pressure does not fall on him because even in the World Cup after the first game he was kind of silent. I want Diomande to do well because he is one of the players which I liked in the past. I can't say the same now.
Fair, fair. Sorry, Abhi, you wanted to say something.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was just gonna say that I know that Real Madrid has this whole thing about Galactico, and they will only sort of sign the big name, which is why I was so surprised that they signed an in-house in the Liga player with Carlos SP. But if they really
Yeah,
wanted to bolster their midfield, I mean, it would not be the ideal names, but they could have gone for someone like Luis Milla, let him go to Como. They could have gone for,
yeah.
I don't know, even Ilaix Moriba, Celta Vigo. He's been stepping up when he's been playing for Celta. It's not
Mm,
really the perfect sort of name you
I
would
get it.
associate with Madrid. But like, if you need to fix the cracks, like go for what
Yep.
works instead of splashing money with no clear end game. That's just my
And
thoughts.
funnily enough, in Mourinho's Real Madrid, before the first spell, you did have those kind of players. I used to, I don't know what for what it was. I used to love Fabio Coentrao. I just love that guy. I used to like for whatever I used to die on a hill for him being better than Marcelo for whatever reason. Obviously, back then I was
Gago
quite
भी था ना? Fernando
sorry.
Gago भी Fernando Gago.
Oh my
Is it
God, those days.
Gago.
Oh
yeah.
my God, those days. Yeah, like that's the thing, right? Real Madrid back then would still at least embrace those kind of players, right?
Yeah.
Like here and it's completely, as you said, it's changed. I think Chintan bhai, do you want to say something about Real Madrid? Because I think you need to go. So maybe
No, guys.
just you
By
want.
the way, I know, of course, I say we talk of players, but then Real Madrid also used to drop bombs like Thomas Gravison. Like
Oh my God.
a
Yeah,
random player
Thomas
like Thomas
Gravesen,
like Mr.
Royston Drenthe. How do you forget
Royston
Royston?
Drenthe, like, oh my God, unbelievable. And एक चैंपियंस गेम में जर्सी डुडे का करियर बना दिया रियल मैड्रिड में आके कुछ खेला भी नहीं वो मतलब like I must say, but yes, I feel like अभी भी वही बोल रहा था. I think they should have covered the cracks. Rodri is again not a solution for me, and I think Abhi said perfectly. मैं भी यही सोच रहा हूँ in La Liga 2026 Bernardo Silva cannot be a press resistant midfielder.
Yeah,
He cannot be a double pivot. First of all, he's a natural winger. He loves carrying the ball, and we saw that with even City last season. That there were phases where he used to lose possession and he used to just roam around aimlessly in the pitch. So, like boss Mourinho has his work cut down. I know Barcelona without Julian Alvarez still have the upper hand because they are the defending champions. A lot to do for Real Madrid, but then again, it's Jose Mourinho. Anything is possible, yeah.
yeah. Anything
Anyway,
else
hello
you
boys,
want?
I need to go.
Yeah.
Lovely talking to you, Abhik, Shivam. I need to go. Something has come up. Param, we'll
All
do
right.
this soon.
Yes, we'll
But
continue with the
before I go, before I just go there. I just want to ask these two boys. 2 एल क्लासिकोस तो मिनिमम होने ही वाले हैं. बारसा का बहुत अच्छा रन चल रहा है एल क्लासिको में अगेंस्ट रियल मैड्रिड. Do you think you guys have the upper hand again this season?
Well, I think so. I think in a way, I think Madrid, this new team, because this is the same team that has been playing this Clásicos. It's the same system. They've grown accustomed to it. Mourinho is going to bring in a new system, going to bring in new players who some of them never had a Clásico experience before. I think it will take some, maybe the second Clásico, the Super Copa Clásico, that might be also be a thing in January. But I think the first Clásico is going Barcelona's way quite comfortably. But then it's too early to call what happens in the second half of the season.
I'm actually excited more for Madrid derby this season because
Shivam playing it very safe. He's playing it very,
Yeah.
very safe.
Now
Yeah.
we'll call Barca. अगर Atletico Madrid से नहीं निकला तो we'll call Barca Atletico game as the Julian Alvarez derby. Temporary at least.
Yeah.
Chalo,
Custody
guys.
of Julian Alvarez.
Yeah.
The podcast
Yeah,
going.
we-
See you soon. Bye bye. Ciao ciao.
All right,
Ciao,
man.
ciao,
Take
see
care.
you soon, Chintan. We'll wrap up Real
Bye,
Madrid
bye.
very soon, guys, and we'll move into the tier maker as we start placing clubs and just give our brief thoughts on that. So the rest of the clubs, as we spoke, sorry, I thought I was frozen. The rest of the clubs, what we'll be doing is, guys, is simply that we'll be placing them in the tier maker and we'll be giving brief thoughts on them. Of course, we can talk a bit more about the Basque clubs and Villarreal because obviously those are still clubs that have done a lot of good things. Boden, look, he'll have a mixed role. I'll be very honest with you. Brahim Diaz, I personally find him as a very overall polarizing signing in that sense because for me, he's been that kind of inconsistent overall when you really think about it, and he's always been linked with a move away. So let's see. Very briefly, do you agree? Do you see any merit in this, Abhik? Like, do you think this could have made sense? I don't know. I find Buadi a tad bit too raw, to be fair.
Yeah, that's what my thought was when I read this question. I think but then again, they went for Diomande. So for Madrid, there is no concept as something that's undercooked or raw, because if they feel like it's someone that they might invest in now and the product will come later, I think they would go for them. Like they made signings in such like hurry, like even Mastantuono signing was rushed. Diomande, I feel it's a bit rushed. And if in this mentality, if in this market Buadi was available, then go for it, invest in it, keep him in the team, and then see if it develops or not. And if it doesn't develop, then you always can do the Endrick method, the Mastantuono method, get him on loan for a season, and then if he comes back well, he comes back well. If not, then well, you wasted your money.
Yeah. I think just one last question on Real Madrid as we close them out. Look, he's following a specific rehab program from what I was following earlier today. So not much for really a cause for concern. He's come back from the World Cup. Point is, guys, I'll start with Shivam and get Abhik's thoughts, alternate. What do, Shivam, as per you, Real Madrid need to go out and do next? We know Mourinho is figuring things out. As per, again, reports what I read, he's currently happy with the level of prep, the trajectory of it rather, and he sees it improving, whatnot, as per reports. But what is the next move Real Madrid need to make? Whether it's the market, whether it's whatever it is, for you, what is the next move, decisive move, let's say, before the first La Liga game? Or at least, which sets them up for the first 3 games, if you really think about it.
I mean, I honestly haven't watched a lot of Madrid in pre-season, so I don't know what kind of system is Mourinho deploying. If he is the classic Mourinho which we know, I think then and the squad building which they have done, I think then it's better to rely on these players and use spaces to exploit. You might not get these many spaces in La Liga, which we'll discuss obviously during tier maker. We have coaches like Miguel Ramis coming back. But if they can get a DLP, even if it is from league, then I think that would be a better option. There are still a couple of underrated DLPs in the league which we'll eventually talk about. But I think having that sort of profile would be important to their sport. Now, I don't know whether their market is closed or not, but if it's still open, then maybe look for that. I mean, I, I'm not remembering any example from Real Madrid, but I want to highlight like Atletico Madrid signed back in 2015-16 Augusto Fernandez when Gabi got injured, and he had a fantastic role when they reached the Champions League final. So that kind of a signing which have that underrated role when these players can step up as and when the team requires. So if they can get that sort of cheap signing, uh, then it would be very good. People are saying about Zubimendi, I don't think Arsenal will sell, but if they are willing to sell and if Madrid are actually willing to splash some cash, then I think Zubimendi would be the perfect signing.
Fair. A big same question for you. That's the same question I have for you. What is the next move? Because it's, as Shivam said, there's not too many rumblings per se on the market front, but it feels like they need someone. We've discussed the midfield already. What's the next move? Not just the market. What's the next move that, let's say, sets them up for the start of the season, like 3-4 games?
Yeah, well, first thing is how will they? I mean, we haven't seen Mourinho's what he has done behind the scenes. Like the entire problem with Real Madrid last season was, as someone mentioned, the discipline, the sort of egos clashing. I mean, there was a UFC bout towards the end of the season in training. So there has to be, I mean, that's literally, I mean, you can play the most
Oh
beautiful
God.
football in the world, but if your dressing room is not united, if your dressing room is always sort of nitpicking on smaller issues, I think that's a very underrepresented part of playing football. Like if Mourinho has instilled that discipline, if Mourinho has, he wouldn't take like any sort of, I don't know if I can curse on this, but he wouldn't take any shit basically.
Yeah,
And
you can.
okay, perfect. So with all the, especially after this World Cup, I'm pretty sure some of the egos are even more inflated than before. Like Mbappe's had that incredible World Cup. Jude Bellingham's the best player for England. Vinicius was good whenever he played, except for that one match. I think everyone's coming back. There's going to be some sort of like, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm the person in this team. Especially Vinicius. Now he has successfully lobbied for a contract that's equal to Mbappe.
Yeah.
And then you see, and if you see the list, like Bellingham, I think earns less than Trent. Valverde is even lower than Bellingham. So there's so much that might come in the next few months, next few seasons.
Yeah.
Bellingham might drop the great first half, and then he can be like, okay, I need a new contract. I need the numbers. So that's when Real Madrid broke down last time around with Vinicius and Xabi Alonso falling out, and the club being divided. If they can stop that, I think the team can definitely challenge for La Liga this time around.
Yeah, I think it's, as we close Real Madrid, it's safe to say that Mourinho still has a few tricks up his sleeve to kind of at least attempt to solve this. Because if you, even if it's 2026, you look at it and say, if not him, who else? Because at the end of the day, it is still Mourinho. It's not prime him, whether it's tactically, even from a man management standpoint. But if not him, then who else? Because I've seen him mess things up at Roma, not as much as at Benfica, but it remains to be seen, right? Kind of an unknown quantity and interesting one. Suyog, thanks for the comment, man. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you stick around. Definitely more content to come. Guys, we'll obviously now be moving into the tier maker section of things. You guys continue to leave your thoughts in the comments about anything you want. Real Madrid, Barca, Atletico Madrid, any player, any club. That's fine by us. Questions, please, more than welcome. Please do remember to like the stream. We'll have linked Abik's Instagram and Shivam also on Twitter. So you guys can follow them as well. I'll plug it in. I'll show it later in the stream, but please do the needful. Let's move into the tier maker. I'll just pull it up in a second. Just give me a second. Should be here. Yeah. Just let me know if this is visible, right? Is this visible? Yeah. So what we'll be doing, it's simple. You have different tiers. You have I might as well. Why is 2 to 5 called champions here? I don't know who's messed this up, but whatever. I'll just fix this over here. Glad it's editable. But yeah, essentially, you have this is the breakup essentially. So which club do you guys want to start? Like, where do you guys want to? Let's not.
Las Palmas क्या कर रहा है यहाँ पे?
That I pointed out कि जिसने भी ये बनाया है, मैंने तो नहीं बनाया. Just whoever has made it basically has put Las Palmas or Malaga for whatever reason. So that's an error. So we'll assume Las Palmas to be Malaga for convenience sake, because I cannot edit that right now. So we'll take turns. So just maybe, I don't know, I'll just start right off the bat. I want to maybe go for a Basque club. I'll just go for Athletic Club, guys. First, let's place them. Okay, let's find a placing, and then let's kind of do a brief assessment, right? So where do you guys see Athletic Club finishing, or rather, finishing overall?
So you're going by club wise, or you're going by positions?
No, so I'll pick a random club from here, right? And we'll pick one by one, and we'll place them first, and then we'll kind of give our brief thoughts on them, barring the big three, because we've already spoken on the big three. We'll place the big three at the end, because that's how we do it over here. So I would say accordingly, let's start with Athletic Club. Then you name one club, then Abik can name one club, stuff like that. Go around the table basically. So where do you guys see Athletic Club finishing overall in the La Liga standings?
6 to 8.
Sorry?
6 to 8. I mean, okay, यहाँ पे नहीं है तो let's keep 6 to 7.
6 to 7, okay. Fair. Abik, do you agree with that, Abik?
मैं तो और नीचे डालता इसको, because like I love Athletic. I mean, I don't have any grudge against it, but like just the fact that the new manager's coming in
Yeah.
and they it's been, I mean, I know they don't sign players, but it's 15 days to go and they've not made a single move in the market.
Yes.
And last few seasons, every time you think that okay, just because they won the Copa del Rey a couple of seasons ago, you think that
Hmm.
okay, that would be like sort of a spring in their, they will carry that momentum into the league, or even in European competitions, but they just don't. I mean, there's something lacking with Athletic Club. I can't pinpoint it. Now Erin Terzic coming in, he's gonna flip the system. I think he's gonna play a 3-4-3, which is contrasting to Valverde's 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Um, I think I put them like 13th or something.
Wow. So what should we settle for? Should we settle for like a middle ground, Shyam, between
Yeah,
8 to
somewhere
12?
somewhere between.
8 to 12, yeah. But why I kept them at 6 to 7 is because obviously they don't have any other competition.
Yes,
Yes,
that's fair.
apart
Well,
and apart from that, yeah, apart from that, I the teams which I want to place below them, I don't see them doing pretty well, which will come back later. इसलिए मैं position wise ही करना चाह रहा था, club wise नहीं करना चाह रहा था. So
fair. Like,
हाँ, position wise ही करते हैं.
position wise would be much better. फिर club भी discuss हो ही जाएगा साथ में.
so you're saying नीचे से चालू करना है basically.
हाँ,
Fair. Okay, let's do that. We'll do that after Athletic Club. So it's finished off
yeah.
Athletic Club. So I kind of agree. See, I just wanted to give my आप लोग भी, by the way, in the comments you guys can also give your thoughts where you guys feel we should place them or where you would rather want us to place them as well. I kind of agree with this that yeah, look, it's true that they've not made any signing at all. I mean that does not change the fact, and obviously the whole point is they've been promoting obviously players from their system as they always do. Terzic, I've never been that high on Terzic. Again, this is a coach I have a gripe with. I do not really rate him that highly. I know what he's trying to go and do is, as you said, like a three at the back and be very
Yeah.
vertical, like a 3 and 4 kind of, and then try to kind of revitalize that vertical gameplay that was lost from Athletic Club last season, who were very passive last season, by the way. I think if I'm not wrong, 9 defeats, right? How many was it? 9 defeats or 10, something like that, right? A lot of losses, which or sorry, was it like way too many goals conceded? I think that was the case. If I'm not wrong, correct.
Danny Vigan
Uh,
was actually playing like Petro Roman, if anyone remembers. Horrible centre back for Athletic Club. Like he had a very
yes,
bad game.
yeah, exactly, and yeah, it was some or the other horrible record they had, which I can't kind of remember right now. But yeah, it was you could see that the dip in that just towards the end of that first half of the season, how average even like a Vivian was overall. I don't even want to get talking about the injury issues and whatnot. And it was clear that Valverde's time was done. I think that was pretty clear, and they definitely needed a change. I think in that sense, maybe you can somewhat maybe liken them to Real Sociedad in the sense that Real Sociedad went out, they also got in a fresh face. Maybe that's the hope they can keep. But personally, if I look at it from a mentality standpoint or a personality standpoint, I've never really rated Terzic to kind of fix things around, because whenever it's like he's had multiple chances to fix things, even at Dortmund, and he's actually blown them up very significantly. And Dortmund is like his club at the end of the day. So I've never really been that high on the guy personally. I'm curious to see what Abhik said. Sham, I feel uh, I need to take this comment. I'm sorry, I'll take that comment. But point is, maybe he'll be able to integrate the youth that much better because he has a knack for it. And yeah, the comment I saw which made me chuckle was, if you know that story about Edin Terzic being a fan and watching the UCL final at Wembley against Bayern, please don't believe it. It's utter nonsense. He was given tickets by the club. He was working with the club at the time, and that is one of the reasons I cannot stand Edin Terzic, because of this fake story. He might be a fan, but he did not attend it as a fan. He was given a ticket by the club, so please do not buy this nonsense. But we
Uh,
can move on from bol na
one
Shivam.
player yeah, I want to also highlight a player for viewers. What I
Fair, we
want to
should do that.
actually,
Yeah. We should do that. Maybe highlight couple of players you guys think people should watch out for. Definitely, go ahead.
I want to, I want to see how Pio Canales does for Athletic Club. Apparently, I haven't watched a lot of Segunda last season, but apparently he had a very good time at Racing Santander with Gustavo Cueta, and he's back on loan to Athletic Club. So I want to see how the midfield of Pio Canales, Mikel Horesigar, and Sanset, who had a bad season, does. So I'm kind of excited for that thing. Let's see.
Yeah, Teo Canales, I had only read about him at the time, and I did read that at Racing Santander he was quite solid. A big anything you want to say about players we should look out for from Athletic Club? And sorry, one more thing for you. An area you think they need to really improve on going into this season and really improve from last season or in general?
Well, last season they struggled a lot because of Nico Williams' recurring pubalgia injury. Like they played so centrally that it was like because they relied so much the previous seasons, the Copa del Rey winning season as well, on their flank. And as he mentioned, Sunset is did not really have the best season last time around. And I think having that sort of synergy in the front line, whether it's with Guru Seta, Sunset, Iñaki Williams, who famously had a record of playing like 251 games in a row for the club. If Nico Williams can pull off something like that, I think Athletic have a much better chance this time around. But I don't know why. I just don't feel like this is a team that's fired on all cylinders last season as well. And this season, I mean, I have very low expectations from them. But when they do win, when they do play beautiful football, it's such a good story for La Liga, such a good story for Spanish football. But just know why this season it's not feeling like. I think Real Sociedad once again will be the dominant task club this time around.
Yeah. And it is just very quickly, yes, he does play Celton Sanchez. He played even in the La Liga last season. I mean, he played like around 5-6 odd games, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, he's Firmino's cousin, by the way. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We've established a structure over here. I think Shivam has named what players you need to look out for and what Athletic Club really need to do. It is fair to say there is a reason to be concerned about them because things don't look overall great. So we'll now start from the bottom as suggested by Shivam. So we'll go for the relegation candidates, guys. Remember, Las Palmas is supposed to be Malaga over here. So what I'll start with you, Abhik, and we'll kind of try to mix this up. We'll have to mix it up because we'll have to get like a balanced opinion from three of us. Who are your relegation candidates? We'll give a very brief this thing. We'll have a chat about all three. But for you, who is it?
Well, I already said this in a different preview I did. I think this time Elche is one of the names I think are going down, especially Eder Sarabia leaving, Alvaro Rodriguez leaving. I think they also lost Febas to Celta, if I'm not wrong. So they are being decimated, and I'm not. And again, La Liga relegation last season was so tight; like they survived on the final day. So I think for me, Elche is one of the teams that goes down. Another name I think is Osasuna. Again, I just feel like I don't know. It's so much of this is just like vibes, you know. Like I see them play last season, I'm like, I think they have had moments of brilliance when they link, especially when I because like I do a series on my channel where we highlight like La Liga Unks, and Budimir is one of my favorite Unks, right? So whenever he shines for Osasuna, it's wonderful to see. But overall, I think this season, even with Victor Munoz's move to Liverpool, I think Osasuna will find.
And I think the only signing, if I'm not wrong, they've made so far is Dubasin, right? And that concerns me overall. Like Victor Munoz to we'll come to the specifics, but what's the third club? Then we can also get Shyam's opinion on the same.
The third club, I think people will be surprised by it, but I think it's Levante. Again,
I'm not surprised. I have them as well. I'm not surprised. I completely get it. We'll come to the why of each of these three. Shivam, I'll come to you. Do you agree with this or no? Or if you had to make a change, what would it be?
My three relegation candidates would be I'll go 20th for Malaga. I will go for Rayo.
Rayo.
So I'll say all three names, then I'll explain.
Sure.
I'll go Malaga. I'll go for Rayo, and I actually want to say Elche, but I don't want to say soft spot, but I like Elche as a club, so I don't want to put these guys. And unfortunately, I have to keep Levante, even though I rate Luis Castro very highly. But I think Levante, Malaga, and Rayo Vallecano will be the three clubs. I kind of agree what Abhik has said about Osasuna. So, okay, I'll explain my choices. I think as far as Malaga is concerned, I just don't see their squad. Like, they are a proper Segunda division team, and
Yeah.
for me, they are very unknown quantity, and I don't really know what to expect from Malaga this season. They are, I think, one of the most weakest teams when it comes to either squad building and every kind of thing. So that's the reason for Malaga. As far as Rayo are concerned, I think they are the team which will suffer the most because of the whole stadium situation going. We still don't know where Rayo will play. There were talks that they'll play in Butarque, in Leganes Stadium. They can play like 240 kilometers north. We don't know
Mm.
where Rayo will play. And if anyone has followed Rayo, Vallecas, I mean, packed Vallecas at night, fans screaming around, that gives them extra motivation. Plus, they have lost someone like a Pep Savaria, and I feel that Rayo has a very aging squad. Alvaro Garcia did pretty well under obviously they lost Inigo Perez, so they have a new manager, Benyat San Jose, a Basque manager. So I don't know what dynamics which he will set up in. Can Isti Palazon really do the magic once again for them?
Mhm.
They don't. They also lost Noble Mendy, and they
Yeah.
haven't really made any
Yeah.
signings
Yeah.
apart from
That's
Marais Mbula. And
yeah.
one of the big concerns of Rayo Vallecano last season, even under Inigo Perez, was they just can't score goals. I mean, they used to create a lot of chances.
Yeah.
De Frutos used to create a lot. Alvaro used to create a lot. Oscar Valentin used to create a lot. But those chances were never converted. Randy
Yeah.
Enteka
Yeah.
and Alemão just didn't
Yes.
play well. So I have a lot of doubts with Rayo and the entire stadium situation. That's why I put Rayo
Yeah.
as one of my candidates.
Yeah.
The third candidate is Levante. Actually, if I have to go practical, I would also keep Elche, but I have just kept Elche out because of my bias. I think Levante will lose some of their players. Maybe it's Carlos Alvarez magic once again. One thing which I really like that out of all these, relegation fodder teams, Luis Castro might be the best manager, which is with Levante. They also signed Hugo Sotelo from Celta. I think he's a good player, but
Yes.
how well
I
he
like
set
him.
up how well will he set up in Levante's setup? That remains to be seen. I think for me, the big loss for Levante is their centre back Matias Moreno. He's
Oh yeah.
gone to I think Fiorentina or at some club, and they've got an Isa
Venezia.
Mandi.
Venezia. Venezia.
Isa Mandi. I mean, this guy was at Villarreal and Betis, and he's one of the most polarizing, centre backs which I've ever seen. Like he used to drop like prime Beckenbauer like this place, and then at the very next thing he used to start playing like Longley. He was
Mhm.
incredible for the second half in the season in League One,
Mhm.
from what reports I'm reading. But when I saw him in World Cup, he was complete liability for Algeria. So I just don't know what Isa Mandi has in store. And apparently they are also about to lose Kervin Arriaga, who was very crucial
Yeah.
for them in the first half of the season under Calero. So all
Mhm.
these factors make me consider Levante as one of the relegation candidates for this season. And
Mhm.
now talking about Elche and why I haven't kept them, obviously Elche signs Argentine players, and I have been following Elche in 2020, 2021. They had 7, 8 Argentines. They had Ivan Marcone back then, Russo
Mhm.
Rodriguez, Lucas Boy was at Elche a lot of time. The problem with Elche, I think Abid has clearly mentioned that they have lost a lot of players and they have
Lot
not
of
really
players.
added those players. I think Febas is the biggest loss. He was like
Yeah.
easily top five central mids in La Liga last season, and they are replacing him with Javi Morcillo, who was
Yeah.
from Atleti's academy, and he's not that great of a player. Another thing is, I have personally watched Anselmi a lot at Botafogo, and his system demands a striker who can play very good with his back to goal. Basically, those second striker type of system. And with Alvaro he could have gotten all those plays. Now with Alvaro
Mhm.
gone, they
Yeah.
signed an Argentine youngster Tiziano Perota, but he is on loan for the next 6 months. So they don't really have
Yeah.
any other striker apart from
They don't have.
Firmino,
Yeah.
Abielo. So
And
that profile of striker which Anselmi actually likes. So they
yeah.
have a lot of issues. They only have Cepeda and Buono Note as two of the exciting players which you
Yeah.
can
Buonanotte. Yeah.
look
I
forward to. The
I
problem,
think
just
Bull Bull.
just one last. One of the big problems with Elche is, I think, their management. So
Mm.
Elche is being owned by Christian Bragarin, and for those who don't know about Christian Bragarin is the agent of Lisandro Martinez, and he is the
Yes.
majority holder of Elche. So he has that pool of 18 to 20 players, and he has that pool of 18 to 20 managers, which he keeps on rotating from club to club.
And and
So
and didn't he also encourage Kude to leave? If I'm not wrong, in the this thing.
Yeah, so he was the reason why Kudet came back to Celta Vigo because he also leads Kudet's management agency. So he has
Mm.
that knack of shuffling around Argentine players. Obviously, since Elche got relegated in 2013 because of financial issues when all those Pasalic, Fabian Ruiz and Jonathan were there. So when Bragari came, he did a really well job. But now he is doing all those rude kind of deals that okay, I'll place this player at loan from that club, I'll place this player. So overall, in terms of management, Elche have been a mess. Don't be surprised if random or I mean, I've seen Elche have signed Ezequiel Pons. He used to play for Elche 6 years back, and he's a very bad footballer. So
Yeah.
all these things actually tend to say that Elche would be a relegation candidates, and I still feel that they will be in a relegation battle. But obviously, I have my biases, so I will keep them just above
Yeah.
relegation, and I'll go for Levante, Rayo, and Malaga.
Fair. So
Yeah.
we'll have to try and combine this. So I agree with Levante as well. So I think Levante can stay because the thing with it, I kind of get this with Luis Castro is that when he came in, is obviously he had that sense of momentum and he kind of dragged Levante all the way. But Carlos SP losing him right away, and I think they've replaced him with Musawi, obviously from
Mm.
Club Brugge. Decent striker, but I have my doubts. I had watched a bare minimum of him at Club Brugge, and I'm not really entirely convinced with him as the replacement. And ever since then, you all said it right. Like the squad, to me, overall feels a tad bit inexperienced. Overall,
Mm.
like I'm not like Sotelo. Yes, he's a good signing. I don't question that. But overall, to me, getting Isa Mandi, this version of Isa Mandi, sorry, I'm not really convinced with that. And I think that momentum from last season where they had their backs against the wall and how he played his kind of, I would say, cautious approach, it kind of worked. He knew how to kind of give defined roles to everyone. I don't think like a whole season it's going to work out this time. I really
Mhm.
have a bad feeling unless they pull something out of the hat in the next few weeks or something. I'm not really overall optimistic with that. Like yeah, they have few players like Jeremy Tolian as well and all, but I saw used to watch him in Serie A as well. Not really that great or anything. So overall, like I personally, I agree with you guys. I think they're definitely going down. I have them 20th to be honest, even over some of the newcomers.
Yeah.
I fully get what Sherm is saying about Rio. We have already discussed Rio at the whole stadium
Yeah.
debacle. Wolfsburg first game maybe it's not going to be ready in time. It's a mess. I mean, it's yeah, it's insane what has happened with them, and even with Elche, I think you all have touched upon it very well. The squad is extremely depleted.
Yeah.
I this
Yeah.
is confusing.
Oh,
I think I have Elche as well. Like I
yeah.
will have to keep Elche. I don't have Osasuna. Sorry, Shivam, what you had Rayo, Levante, and who?
Malaga.
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 Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I will be. I think we can agree on the Elche consensus. Like 2 out of 3. I know you like Elche, but I I also do feel that like having lost so many players, I think it's going to take
Logically,
a.
Elche should go down. If you look at
Sorry.
every, logically, Elche should go down. If you look at every
Yeah.
prediction, I mean, Abhik also mentioned, and in fact, 70% of my mind also says that Elche is not really ready for this sport. It will be an overachievement if they actually survive.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
so,
and you
but
use the overachievement ka word, which was rightly used because Abhik, if you remember the first part of the season, these guys were flying,
Yeah.
and then eventually the reality hit hard, and they obviously came tumbling down and almost got relegated. But yeah, look, Buonanotte, as you all discussed, he's a decent signing, although he's had multiple loan spells that have not really worked out entirely. But whatever,
Yeah.
I feel he's an all right signing. Anselmi, yeah, man, this guy hasn't lasted for over a year, if I'm not wrong, at many clubs. If you think of that
wrong,
as well, how? Sorry.
wrong choices of clubs. I mean, he was very talented manager.
Yeah, fair,
Uh,
fair. That's also a fair way of looking at it. Although, like I do like it when a lot of these relegation battling clubs have to rely on their home atmosphere. I think Elche do it like are one of the most underrated at doing
Mhm.
that, like
yeah.
kind of creating that raucous atmosphere. I really liked what I saw from them. I was really a big fan. But only, yeah, yeah, man, they've lost way too many players for me. I'm sorry, Shiv, I'll have to put them there. Third club,
No,
even I'm torn. Like I was actually going to say Alaves, but then Alaves have that seasoned approach of actually staying up, and I think Kike Sanchez Flores is not getting relegated. So I
Mm.
mean, it's just Kike Sanchez Flores at the end of the day. I hate it. I don't even want to say Malaga, but I think when I look across the board,
Yeah. Just
yeah,
looking at
might
the
have to.
Malaga squad. I'm not really
Yeah,
sold. But I mean, I kind of, just because of the romanticism of them coming back, I've kept them safe.
yeah.
But I think it's unfortunate.
I think
I
yeah. So
mean,
I think maybe we can save Osasuna for now. We can maybe put them
uh,
somewhere 13 to 17. And guys, remember this is Malaga, not Las
Malaga.
Palmas. Yeah, sorry about that. But
uh, but
yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Abhi. Go ahead, go
you
ahead, go
know,
ahead.
I was just saying. Unfortunately, I might have to leave in like 5 minutes. But before
Sure,
that,
sure.
I will. Before that, I want to just talk about Rayo because Shiva mentioned Rayo might go down, but I kept them on the edge of relegation because I just think this team with sort of, yeah, I mean, the whole stadium debacle. Their president hates the club. I don't know if you guys know, he wants to move Rayo out of Vallecas into like some modern facility because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how
yeah,
he's
yeah.
gonna
That's
earn the
true.
money,
That's
which
true.
is like
That's right.
so anti-Rayo. Like, and
Yeah, yeah,
he's now smiling the fact that they won't be
yeah.
playing in Vallecas anymore. Um, but just looking at the team, I'm really sold, or I'm really hopeful. Eventually, there's going to be a season where Andre Rachu really
Oh,
becomes a talk of La Liga. Like, I was hoping it would be the last time around when there was the deep Conference League final run, and La Liga, and the year before as well. I think he got a hefty contract. He was linked with
yeah.
Barcelona as well. I really thought Rachu was gonna sort of explode last season, especially because Rayo were playing so much games. But the fact that he's still here, he's still at Rayo, I think that would be a very important factor. I'm also looking at, as he mentioned, De Frutos. He was creating so many chances, but their only problem was that there was no one
Mm,
converting those chances. Alemão at Conference League level was really good. Isi Palazon, of course, stepped up. I'm
yeah,
sad that Echeverria left because from the left side he was really really lethal
yeah,
for Rayo
yeah,
going up and down. I
yeah,
think I even put him in my team of the season last time, last season. I was
yeah.
sad about that. What's the name of the keeper? Was Bataya or something? If I'm not.
Bataya,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bataya.
Even his performance has really sold me that this team away from home can also, like, they can dig deep. They came off, I think, if I'm not wrong, they came off of a very tough Conference League match against, what is it,
Yeah,
Strasbourg or Freiburg, I don't remember. And then the next game they played against Barcelona, and they could have defeated Barcelona had they converted the chances. And it was within like 3-4 days span. So for me, Rayo will flirt with relegation throughout the season,
yeah.
but if things go well, if they can return to Vallecas, and even if not, I just think they will survive. They have been a mainstay in La Liga for a while now, and they know that there are teams worse than them. And this time, this time they don't have any European sort of commitments as well, so they can fully
Mm,
focus on staying up, which should be their priority for this season at
mm,
least, and then hopefully they can build on it and uh,
yeah.
do better.
I,
For me, they were
I,
17th for me, so it's almost
yeah.
relegation, I would say.
So what we'll do before you go, Abhek and Shivam, what we'll
Yeah.
do is we'll finish placing the clubs, and then at least me and Shivam can have a brief discussion post that. Just quick,
Hmm.
one thing I want to say about Rayo, I think you pointed out very well, both of you, is the whole stadium debacle. Yes, and
Hmm.
when you in amidst all this, when you lose familiar faces, like again, I know Oscar Trejo barely played last season, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But like when you lose those familiar faces and leaders like that in such a time, just
yeah,
their impact of the, like, just being there, within the club when the times are so turbulent, when
yeah,
obviously, as you said, Rio as a club are fighting for a cause against Preza, and you
yeah,
rightly said he was trying to force them out. They've managed to hold him so far, because they really want to stick to their identity. And then, even such losses, as Shivam and you pointed out, it won't be surprising if they get relegated, unfortunately,
mm,
from being in a Conference League final to getting relegated. So
yeah,
what we'll do is, Shivam, let's, as per you and Abhik, let's kind of place clubs first, and me and Shivam can
mhm,
at least wrap up the discussion in case you need to leave as well. So we've
yeah,
established our relegation candidates. It's Elche, Malaga, Levante. Let's go
mm,
13 to 17. It's so basically,
okay,
yeah, it's five clubs. So, Abhik,
I
I'll
think
start with you. Which five clubs? You don't need to explain right now. We'll just place
okay,
them. Yeah.
okay.
So, which five clubs
Uh,
would you? Yeah,
for me, one of them was Rayo Vallecano. I said they'll finish 17th, just
yeah,
above relegation, right? I think Racing Santander will finish somewhere maybe 15 to 16 because again they've got promoted. They won the Segunda Division, but I think
yeah,
again their investment, if I'm not wrong. I mean they have a few players coming. I forgot. Sergio Canales is coming back.
yeah.
They are,
Coming
they
over,
are,
yeah, rather, yeah. They,
yeah.
they have experience coming in rather
Yeah,
more
but I
than,
just feel like they've been away for so long. And last season we saw that with Real Oviedo, they came in with
yeah,
such high hopes, and they just couldn't get their feet running from in the first division. So that's what I would say. I would say Alaves. Well, I put them as 14th on my list. I think they will. I don't think the season will be that tight as last season, where it's like 12 teams could have been relegated on the final match. Yeah, I don't think so, but I think they will sort of float around there. What is it? 13 to 17, right?
Yeah,
I in my thought there was Malaga, but after hearing Shivan's explanation, I kind of agree Malaga is probably gonna go down. So I would replace them with who did we not put? Levante, yeah, Osasuna then, because my relegation candidates were Levante, Osasuna, Elche. But if we do Malaga, which now I'm sort of opening my mind to, I think I would put Osasuna in that 13 to 17 area.
Yeah, fair. So who else? You need one more club, 13, 14. Yeah, you need one.
Valencia,
Yeah, Shivam can
Val-
take that one.
Sorry?
Valencia, obviously.
Yeah.
They'll-
I wish they go higher though. I really do.
Oh,
It's their
damn.
last season at Mestalla. I really hope that they at least show up for the
Yeah.
fans.
Do you think they're going to turn up under Cobreran though?
Dude, my
God.
friend, he went to the preseason, and in the preseason at Mestalla, they are chanting for his head. Like there's no
Yeah.
good vibes at the club. They hate
Yeah.
the president, they hate the manager
Yeah.
at this point, and it's just looking very bleak. But yeah, I think
Fair.
for me, in my dream scenario, Valencia finishes higher, but it just does not. It's just not going to happen this time. I think.
Fair. Let's just place another 4 clubs and wrap this up. So, so you have 9 to 12 because we've placed Athletic Club already. 9 to 12. What do you think? Me and Shyam will obviously discuss this, but what's your placement looking like here?
I think Real Sociedad finishes somewhere there. I think a bit lower than before because maybe a change, maybe a break in the season will help them because again they had a horrible pre-Christmas run. Then they won the Copa del Rey, and that run was good. And after the Copa del Rey, they again dropped a lot in quality. So I think I was expecting Real Sociedad to do better, but I think they'll finish somewhere 10, 11. Deportivo La Coruña, I think with the signings they've made, they will be.
Fair.
I don't want to put them higher than 9th or 10th, but anything a 10th position, 11th position would be success for them considering how long they've been away and the signings they made. Angelino, Aubameyang, a couple of other names I can't recall, but pretty good. Sevilla, I put them as 12th on my thing. I wanted to put them lower. Yeah, I have a flag of them here, so I have a little bit of bias. But I think every season they come up and I think, oh, this is the season they go down. This is the season go down. Then suddenly they change gears towards the end and they end up mid-table. So I think that's the same thing's going to happen this time around. But I do think Luis Garcia Plaza is going to be the first manager to get sacked this season, just for the record. But I think they finish at this position. Okay, and do you need one more club or is that it?
Espanyol or Getafe.
Yeah, Getafe, I think. One.
So you still have Espanyol and to be fair, Espanyol did play well. So
Espanyol,
you said Getafe.
Yeah, Getafe. For me, I don't know why this season I am doing like a wild prediction. I'm thinking Espanyol make it to some place in Europe. I don't know why. I just have a feeling. I will look stupid at the end of the season, but I don't know why. Like Espanyol before Christmas last season, they were spectacular. But then they went on like an 18 match win on not winning streak on an 18 match, and they were almost relegated. But for me, the team that Manolo Gonzalez had built in that early part of the season, they were contention for Europe, and if they can do that again this time and maintain sort of their level, I think they go.
So you want to play place Espanyol here, basically?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say. Fair. Now my order is all mixed, but like the rest of the clubs, I think I had put Celta around 7th. Betis
so
above
we
them.
Go now it's 2 to 5. Yeah, now it's 2 to 5. So I get Betis, Villarreal, of course.
Yeah. Villarreal, I put them as 4th. I think this time Atletico Madrid will pip them. I mean, they have a great squad, but again, I think that they finish 4th or they go 2nd. I don't think they're finishing 3rd. But then, who's the team that loses the position? Villarreal, I have a lot of faith in them this season, but I think 4th is the best they can do, especially now. I think this season they'll focus a little bit on the Champions League as well, because last season they didn't. I think they finished like 35th in the Champions League. Copa del Rey, they got knocked out by Racing Santander, which is their first fixture in La Liga this week. So I think they will try to balance a lot more this time around. With Inigo Perez, he doesn't want to like play one competition. Even we saw that with Rayo Vallecano. He will focus on all three competitions. So with
Yeah.
their quality, I see them top 4 and I see them 4th. Atleti 3rd, and then it's the
Yeah, you have to
well,
pick.
well, this can go either way. I mean, this is the first year in 3 years where I am not so sure, because in 2024 I said Madrid is going to win and they won. 25 I said Barca. 26 I said Barca. I think I think Barca makes 3 in a row again. For some reason, I feel like that.
So Madrid second and Barca
Madrid
first.
second, but it's not a second that's humiliating in a way. I think
Yeah,
this is going to be a much tighter second. I think even on the second El Clasico, the league won't be decided like how it was this time. I think they will go toe to toe towards match day 36, 35. I think they go as deep as possible. But yeah, I just don't know. Madrid, we talked it in the first 15, 20 minutes. Madrid with all the new signings, the new manager, such big names, but no sort of, controllers, no deep line playmakers.
Yeah.
It just feels like a bit not cohesive, and that will be the difference maker when it comes to balancing knockout stages of the Champions League, Copa del Rey, the Super Cup. I just think they do go second this time, but with this season they learn a lot. If Mourinho continues for another season, I see them very easily winning the league next season. So that would be
fair. So obviously this is Shivam. We'll hang on in the stream for a bit and play around with this. Abik, these are your final predictions, which is you have Levante, Elche, Malaga getting relegated, Valencia mid-table again, obviously the bottom half of table again, the Basque clubs kind of mid-table, Barcelona winning the league again, Atleti above Villarreal. That's pretty much it for your predictions. Any closing thoughts about the La Liga season before you get the floor to plug in? Anything you want to say about the La Liga, just as a closing thought? What the neutral can expect, or what just anyone should expect, or one thing you're looking forward to before you leave?
Yeah. I think as a neutral, this is one of the best seasons to start watching La Liga, especially we don't need to talk about the quality of players. We have the names and the performances show for them. But this is also, I think, the first season in a long time where all the former La Liga champions are playing, including Depor. They've been out for a while. And this is after, I think they went out in 2017 or 2018, and now they're back. And so if anyone is looking to pick a team, especially after Spain winning the World Cup, there has been a lot of eyeballs on how Spain plays, where they get these players from, what are these academies, the esteemed academies, the La Masia, La Fabrica, Zubieta, like everyone talks about these names, but they don't really know where the players come from. I think if you want to watch a league that's not going to be very sort of commercially appealing, like players still will fight for their salaries and the broadcast packages might not be the most attractive and everything. But if you need to watch proper football, something that you guys in Serie A also enjoy, like proper think pieces, every manager is playing a chess game and every manager is adapting. It's not just like, okay, we have the ball, we put it in the net and we just park the bus. No, I think this is the best time to get into La Liga. And as I mentioned, every team has in terms of my predictions, I think Barca, Real, Atleti, Villarreal, top 4, they're going to perform out of their wits. Real Betis, Celta in Europe, they're going to, it's a sort of new moment for Betis as well. 20 years later, they're coming to Champions League again. So La Liga will be everywhere for those with eyes to see this season. It's just whether you're willing to invest a little bit more time and sort of get into the case of Spanish football. I think as Spain was world champions, I think this is the best time to watch La Liga.
Exactly.
That's what I would say.
That's more than well said. I think Abhik, thank you so much for joining in the first place. Obviously, this stream has gone on a tad bit longer than expected. We'll wrap it up shortly as well. Just talk a bit more about the other clubs. But obviously, if guys, पहले तो आप लोग Abhik को please do go and subscribe. His username, or rather, he's popularly known as La Liga Vic on Instagram. He has over 25,000 followers, so obviously you'll be able to identify him. Obviously, he's a journalist. He covers a lot of Spanish football. He works with clubs as well, so you can follow him there. He's there on YouTube as well. He has a channel, and obviously he does a podcast. It's the Tiki Tapas podcast with, of course, his fellow colleague Rahul from La Liga London. So obviously they are your kind of go-to people for La Liga, so you guys can check them out over there and follow them. And I've already linked his profile, so you guys can go and follow him there from there as well. So do the needful. A big thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it for you to take the time, and hopefully for more collabs in the future as well. I'll send you a collab request for this stream once it's done. So yeah, thank you so much, man, for coming in. Appreciated all your insight was valuable, more than valuable. Fantastic insight on the La Liga, and can't wait for it. Can't wait for the La Liga to start. Fantastic game, as me and Shiv keep discussing. What a match to start the league with. Alaves versus Hetafe. Like perfect way to start the league. So yeah, thanks.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like if you want to get into La Liga, why don't you start it off with Bordalas ball? This is
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
just start out
But
with
yeah,
that. And yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I mean, Calcio Church, I've been following you guys for a while, and we have similar, as I mentioned, we have similar interests. Like
exactly.
take a
Yeah.
league that we know can get better representation and sort of bring it to more eyeballs, and which is why I was really excited to collab with this with you guys. So yeah, thank you for inviting me, and yeah, hopefully many more
Pleasure
collabs in
is
the
all
future.
ours, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Shivam,
so much.
yeah,
Yes, bye
Shivam,
bye.
let's talk a bit about a few teams and then wrap this up. Obviously, guys, for those who have stuck around, we appreciate it. Like karo, share karo, subscribe karo. There is a lot. There is a lot, obviously, to be discussed. So please do. Obviously, subscribe on the same. Shivam, let's. We've already covered Athletic Club and uh, obviously, but there's one more Basque club. Obviously, we're to kind of yet to touch upon Real Sociedad. पेलेग्रिनो मटाराजो ने लास्ट सीजन हिस्ट्री क्रिएट किया भाई कोपा डेल रे जीत के बहुत वी नो द डॉलरम्स दीस गाइस वर इन एंड पेलेग्रिनो मटाराजो रियली टर्न थिंग्स अराउंड इस सीजन सो फार ज्यादा मूवमेंट नहीं रहा रियल सोसिएडाड में अंडरस्टैंडेबली
Yeah.
सो इन अ वे obviously if I'm not wrong they signed I think yeah I don't think they've really signed Kazun but I think if I'm not wrong they signed that Japanese guy right I think that's it and आउटगोइंग के हिसाब से भी ज्यादा कुछ रहा नहीं है आई थिंक ब्राइस मेंडेस गया बस यूएस चला गया कोलंबस इसमें व्हाट आर योर टू सेंट्स are you like do you think it's this squad is decent enough to compete on multiple fronts
मेरे हिसाब से तो दे विल फिनिश हायर। मैंने अपने ला लीगा टेबल में उनको ऊपर रखा था। आई थिंक इट्स अ
either
गुड स्क्वाड।
we can tweak things around so we can tweak things around if you want to put them on we can do that
First, let me explain. जो सेंटर बैक सिचुएशन है दैट इज अ बिट कंसर्निंग बिकॉज अगवर्ड का डील कैंसिल हो गया। दे
Hmm.
वर आल्सो लिंक्ड विद क्रेची एंड क्रेची का भी डील नहीं हो पाया। आई डोंट रियली ट्रस्ट चलेता चाहे एंड आई थिंक ही इज नॉट विद द क्लब एज वेल। So they need
Hmm.
to sign one centre back. One of their big purchases of this summer was renewing John Martin's contract.
Yeah,
Contract. I think he still needs one more season at La Real
yeah,
before he matures. But I really like the idea which Rino Matarazzo is playing with the kind of football which he is playing. One of the main concerns for them is that they don't replicate the form which they had towards the end of the season. Because after
yeah,
winning Copa del Rey, I don't think they even won a single game
yeah. They
for
have
the
not. They have
next
not. They lost all games, right? Yeah,
for, yeah, for next 11 or 12 games. So for them, a good start would be necessary. And if Rino Matarazzo can build upon something, then I think it could be a very good season for them. I think that they'll do well. Oyarzabal especially would be in very good form. He is already a legend there, and he will definitely stay at Real Sociedad for a long, long time. And I think he can actually lead them to Europe maybe next season. I would like to see if they sign a striker because they were linked of Mustafa, some Turkish guy. I don't know about him. I don't watch Turkish league.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they were
yeah, yeah.
actually linked with a striker, and if a striker comes in, then let's see. So मेरे हिसाब से तो 7 to 9 के बीच में सोसिएडाड कहीं होगी.
Fair,
Let's
fair.
keep the table as
Obviously,
it is.
sorry.
मैं अपना Let's keep the table as it is. I'll just give my approximate order where I would. क्योंकि फिर वो
Yes.
change करना पड़ेगा.
So where do you want me to put them as seventh, basically, right?
No, 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 no. Let's keep the table as it is. I'll give
Fair,
मैं अपना खुद ही ऐसा approximation दे दूंगा. पूरा चेंज
fair,
करना
fair,
पड़ेगा.
fair. And I think what I agree with is in the sense कि एक settled team है जो obviously it has the edge over the likes of Athletic Club or someone. Obviously, you can look at it and say they have to play the Europa League and somewhere एक upgrade one or two could have done. Like as you said, obviously they were linked with एक obviously there was वो ये क्या बोलते हैं जैसे तूने बोला I think that yeah मुस्तफा हेकिमोग्लू का links थे बराबर as it's shown here. I don't think it's happening. Doesn't look like it's happening. Yon Martin का जो renewal था I like जो भी है I fully agree with you because I feel हम ओयारज़बाल की इतनी बात करते हैं इसमें ये चीज I think जो एक फ्यूचर पिलर है. आई मे बी ही माइट लीव, ओके व्हाटएवर इट इज, ही माइट लीव Real Sociedad, but like of the next pillar or identity I see from Real Sociedad is Jon Martin for me, to be fair. And you rightly pointed out as to how good he is. Yes, I think they do need a center back as well. Baki, if you look at the squad, Zaka, like you have a Luka Sucic, it will be balanced here. Like overall, like it's a decent team that can compete. मेरा बस एक ही कंसर्न है कि यूरोपा लीग और कोपा डेल रे को तीन लाइक टोटल तीन कंपटीशन ये लोग बैलेंस कर पाएंगे कि नहीं. But yeah, I feel it's fair to place them where we have. What quickly, which a few clubs do you want to discuss next? Do you want to talk about, I guess, like a Racing Santander or someone? Or which clubs would you like to talk about?
मतलब नीचे से जल्दी जल्दी स्टार्ट कर लेते हैं. लेट्स फिनिश इट क्विकली नाउ बिकॉज
Hmm.
रायो और नीचे के तीन तो हमने बात कर लिया. रासिंग, आई वांट टू से दैट दे प्ले वेरी डिफरेंट स्टाइल ऑफ फुटबॉल, वेरी ऑपोजिट टू हाउ ला लीगा में जनरल टीम
Hmm.
खेलती हैं. They are not a positional based team. They are a relationist side.
Yeah,
They have couple of exciting players. I think they can. मेरे हिसाब से they can be in relegation battle if they lose Gustavo Puerta, because Gustavo Puerta was one of their main players last season alongside Pio Canales, and Puerta is coming after an incredible World Cup with Colombia. As
yeah,
per reports, currently Richard Rios might leave for Premier League, and they will sign Gustavo Puerta, who actually displaced him from the national team as well.
yeah,
So if they lose Puerta and they don't sign anyone, then they might get relegated. They got their boyhood, obviously, guy Sergio Canales back, so good to see him.
yeah,
And there are a couple of other players. Inigo Vicente apparently had a very good season. So
yeah,
let's see. One of their centre backs, Facundo Gonzalez, he's very good.
yeah.
He was
Facundo
from
Gonzalez.
Juventus Next Gen Academy. So watch out
Yeah,
for Racing. Racing is a team, मतलब काफी टाइम बाद ला लीगा में आ रहे हैं, बट एक बहुत ही डिफरेंट स्टाइल ऑफ फुटबॉल लेके आ रहे हैं. सो इट कैन इधर लाइक एब्सोल्युटली फ्लरिश एंड बहुत ही खराब भी हो सकता है. तो टू
Hmm.
एक्सट्रीम एंड्स ऑफ द स्पेक्ट्रम रहेंगे इनके मेरे हिसाब से.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with it. See, look, they lost key players like तूने जैसे बोला एसकेटा भी एक गया वो लोग का. If I'm not wrong, this one even Sanyali also left. I think Javi Castro भी एक गया ना, correct. Puerta, I
नो नो,
think
बिकॉज
I,
मैंने सेगुंडा
I,
बिल्कुल नहीं देखा, मैं बस
हाँ
हुआ.
नहीं, मैंने इस चीज के बारे में पढ़ा एंड आई थिंक आई थिंक पुएर्टा भी जाएगा. मेरे को वही फीलिंग आ रहा है. इफ दे लूज हिम इट्स अ बिग बिग होल. एंड रिलेशनिज्म की बात तो जो तूने की ऑब्वियसली Alberto Lopez की, which was rightly said, because he really wants to play the way he does, and I think Canales in that sense is a very very big signing. I still feel like decent squad है इधर that can honestly survive. I do think they'll be part of the relegation battle, but I just feel they have that bit much more slight experience in this team to kind of see things through, and the way they play, I think they will be the team that benefits, I feel, the most from these home games overall. Yeah, thanks a big man. Like I really enjoyed it, and hopefully you keep creating more content, and we'll obviously be following that as well. Let's just pick maybe 3-4 more clubs बीच बीच में ऐसा बात कर लेते हैं. Shyam, I'll let you only pick. Racing Santander हो गया, क्या लगता है तेरे को, और किसके बारे में बात करते हैं?
I want to talk about Alaves because initially I had Alaves in my relegation candidates, but after that I changed my mind. PK Sanchez is obviously there, but
Hmm.
so Alaves has a couple of variables. I think one of their important figures was that they retained their core in
Yeah,
almost every area. Like they still have Sivera, they still have Tenagli and Otto. They signed Villekoski on
yeah,
permanent basis. They still have
yeah.
Antonio Blanco, which we have talked
Blanco.
about.
Yeah,
And they still have Tony Martinez and Lucas Boy. I think one of the
yeah,
main reasons why Alaves survived last season was because of Tony Martinez's goal in second half of the season.
yeah,
Once again, they'll have to rely on Martinez as to if he can score or not, and obviously Lucas Boy's fitness. I think Lucas Boy and Tony Martinez is one of the few underrated partnerships, strike partnership in La Liga. Boy is a very hard-working player. He
hmm,
has very good back-to-goal game. He cannot score a lot of chances. He's not that clinical, but apart from
hmm,
that, he has a very good resounding game. I don't know what happens if he gets injured because he has that knack of picking injuries in every season.
yeah,
So it all comes down to the fact that how many goals they can score. And another surprising part was last season, ever since PK Sanchez Flores was appointed, Alaves conceded 22 goals, which is
yeah. Which
very
is
atypical of PK's team.
TK Sanchez.
So Yeah, so I don't know what they'll do. I think one of their players to watch out for if someone is there for exciting and fun players. Angel Perez, I think they signed him in winter transfer window after losing that they went to championship. Was it? I don't exactly remember that guy. I think it was Carlos Vicente. So Angel Perez looked like a very good kid. He's playing as right wing back, so he's one of the players whom you can keep an eye on. I just feel that they are playing with Mendy Zorroza, and there are a couple of teams more weaker than them. And
Yeah.
Martinez might just once again bail them out. That's why they will be in relegation battle, but they will survive. In our opinion.
आज आज हम लोग यही बात कर रहे हैं. आई थिंक टोनी मार्टिनेज का फॉर्म इज समथिंग दैट रिमेन्स टू बी सीन फॉर अलावेस बिकॉज उसका एक ही सीजन रहा है जो उसने लास्ट सीजन जो बहुत अच्छे नंबर ऑफ गोल्स मारे थे डबल फिगर्स में एंड वी नीड टू सी इफ वी कैन रेप्लिकेट दैट बिकॉज अदरवाइज द गोल्स अप टॉप आर टैड बिट ड्राई आल्सो yeah I think Antonio Blanco man like yeah he's so important and I just feel excuse me otherwise have the know-how to kind of stay in the league and Kike Sanchez Flores yes वो थोड़ा सेम नहीं रहा है उसके भी टीम से लीक होते हैं गोल्स बट essentially yeah, he somehow comes through when it's about a relegation dogfight na like he always finds a way so I'm not really surprised. I think they've also signed a couple of decent players like Miguel Rodriguez and Mikel as well so overall I think they're good enough to survive. We've spoken of Osasuna, Valencia also I think we briefly discussed because we a big spoke of Cobreran and the mess that is there. Whatever you want to discuss, we'll discuss which club would you want to talk about.
Yeah, I actually agreed with a bit initially about Osasuna, but I just felt that there were a couple of teams more worse than them. I
Hmm.
don't understand what Osasuna is doing in all these years. The kind of coaches which they had Vicente Moreno, then they went to Lichy, and now they have Luis Miguel Ramis. These all
Yeah,
three are very different type of coaches. They all three are very contrasting styles.
yeah,
Now the
yeah.
current coach which they have, Luis Miguel Ramis, he was at Espanyol and was sacked. Okay, so Rames is the kind of a manager who likes to be an underdog. He has
Hmm.
done a very good job
Yeah.
in Segunda Division with the likes of Tenerife, with the likes of I think Albacete and couple of other clubs. He has led them to promotion playoffs as well, where he eventually lost. I think with Burgos as well.
Hmm.
Uh, Basically, he makes those teams look better than they actually are. But
Yeah.
when he first got the opportunity to do something in La Liga's first division, when he was
Hmm.
at Espanyol 3 years back, the style of football was dreadful. And I think Osasuna are kind of accepted this reality that they'll play a very dreadful style of football. Because I remember back at Espanyol, he had Javi Puado and Martin Braithwaite, and they were just sitting back and they were just trying to hit on counters.
Yeah.
Osasuna are a team who have one big guy up top. Obviously, Goat Ante Budimir is still there, so they'll still rely on him to score goals, and they will rely on physical set pieces, throw-ins, corners. You can expect Osasuna might be one of the teams who might just play a very not so good looking football this season, and they have an entire Spanish core. So it remains to be seen. I personally feel that the cycle of Osasuna is coming to an end in La Liga, and if
Hmm.
not this season, you can actually see them in couple of seasons in a relegation fight, and they might eventually go on. That cycle basically has come to an end ever since
That's
they got promoted.
that's actually a good way of looking at it because जैसे तूने बोला बहुत contrasting styles है जैसे obviously uh, Ramis is very conservative overall although yes ठीक है उसका एक stint था अच्छा करने का but then तुम्हारा Victor Munoz guy have brought in an all right player in the form of this thing यार Dubasin and now he's the guy to rely on apart from Budimir पे भी एक तुम प्लेयर्स देखो Moncoyola and all these guys Moy Gomez it actually the word you use which feels like cycle is coming to an end feels very apt over here and it again I would be surprised if they are the actual ones that get relegated. Quickly I want to discuss before we wrap up Shivam I want to discuss with you Deportivo La Coruña a bit and Villarreal and Celta Vigo basically these three clubs and maybe Real
Okay,
Betis if time permits but we'll start with Deportivo because people are very high on Depor right now and maybe understandably so तेरे को क्या लग रहा है very briefly we'll keep this क्या लग रहा है Deportivo के बारे में
मेरे को तो एंजेलिनो की साइनिंग काफी सही लग रही है आई थिंक विंग बैक सिस्टम में ही कैन एक्चुअली डू वेल एंड ओबामेयांग आई नो पीपल हैव conflicting opinions but he can prove very important for
yeah.
Deportivo La Coruña. He can score a
Hmm.
lot of goals. They have signed a lot of players because of obviously a banca thing, which
Yeah,
the Venezuelan Spanish uh, guy owns a banca, the bank in Galicia. We'll have that derby back. I think either Deportivo La Coruña has a really good season, which I think they will, considering the signings which they have made, or they'll absolutely flop. We have seen with Granada of Paco Gemes that he can
yeah,
actually flop. But I personally believe that Depor will have a good season. I think they have invested pretty well, and I think Aubameyang can score goals for them. Angelino signing is pretty interesting. I think he can be an
yeah,
important player.
yeah. Especially given the health
One
issues he went through. Yeah,
one player to look out for is Lucas Nubi. I am excited to watch that guy. I think he could be one of those players who does well for Depor and then shift to the Premier League. So watch out for Lucas Nubi in Depor.
fair. Lucas, yeah, correct. Lucas Nubi, Belgian है. Also, I think there are एक अगर मैं कैचो पर्सपेक्टिव डालूं तो दो इटालियंस भी है इसमें. एक लोरेंजो अमातुच्ची है जो सलर्निटाना में खेलता था. Actually, I remember he was actually, if he was at Las Palmas, if I'm not wrong, last season he had a good season. But I agree कि क्या एक तो हिडाल्गो को भी मैं थोड़ा उनका जो कोच है एंटोनियो हिडाल्गो उसको थोड़ा क्रेडिट देना चाहता हूँ बिकॉज इज अ वेरी फ्लेक्सिबल कोच. वो 3 एट द बैक से भी उसका एक सोल्यूशन होता है. और not just I mean it in systems, but he has a lot of alternate principles of play, which usually more lean towards an attacking brand. But I feel that leaves a lot of room to accommodate the team he's been building. Yes, they've benefited financially, but overall, I personally like what they've done. जैसे तूने मूवी बोला, I think येरेमाय भी तो है ही यार अपना. मतलब येरेमाय है. I think apart from Amatucci, who's that? This thing, ये अपना. I think who else have they signed? AD, I think if they've signed, although I need to read up more on the player. I think overall what I'm hearing, the sensations on Deportivo are quite positive. But I agree कि कभी-कभी Deport has been a club की इस पार या उस पार. It feels like there have been instances with Deport where they've been really good, built a good squad, and then it has fallen apart. So remains to be seen. But yeah, it's fair to kind of have this assessment that Deport will have the tools to kind of adapt to playing in different ways if needed, which some of the bottom team clubs may not have right now. एंड हिडाल्गो का वही है ना, उसका वही था कि उसको वो डिफेंसिव इश्यूज काइंड ऑफ मास्क करने को अच्छे से आता है. सो आई गेस पॉजिटिव सेंसेशंस. शिवम, क्विकली लेट्स गो टू सेल्टा वीगो. आई फील देन बेटिस एंड वियारियल वी कैन रैप अप. क्या लग रहा है सेल्टा? बिकॉज हिराल्डेस ने जो काम किया है भाई, मतलब माय गॉड, लाइक आई एम बिग फैन यार ऑफ व्हाट दे आर डूइंग. क्या लगता है? तो ऑब्वियसली वन राइवल टू अनदर. क्या बोलता है तू?
I think once again they'll rely on Fortuna. I think one of the biggest reasons why Celta has been doing well is ever since Geraldes came, he gave a lot of debuts to uh, uh, Celta Fortuna, which is their academy. Obviously, I want to talk a lot of teams in depth, but utna time nahi hai. They still have one centre back missing. I think centre back ka issue solve karna padega. This is Iago Aspas's last season, so they might look to do something memorable in Balaidos for him. Midfield, maybe they are trying to offload Elias Moriba and they are actually trying to sign Kervin Arriaga, who had
Yeah.
absolute masterclass in both the games against Celta Vigo from Levante. So I think that would be a good signing. They sold Sotelo, but they got Alish Febas, who had
Yeah,
an incredible
famous.
last
What a
season with
side.
Celtic. So I think that's a
Yeah.
good signing. Maybe Jones El Abdullawi from Academy can chip in. They are actually linked with, I just got to remember, with Ezequiel Zabayos, who was also linked with Napoli, and thank God he's not going to Napoli. Apparently, if he arrives at Celta Vigo, then there could be something really interesting at Balaidos. I mean, you can see those Sofia and Buffal type of dribbling come back and all those things. He's costing them 7 million apparently. So that is an important signing. I want to see because I like that player a lot when he was fit at Boca. So it remains to be seen. Although I feel that Celta will dip a little bit this season, considering they don't really have a good squad depth. So they'll have to rely on academy once again, and they actually
I
need a centre back. They don't have a centre back reliable.
Yeah, I think you're right. Although I do think that they have kind of the squad to play, but yeah, एक center back add करे और एक youth talent to definitely somewhat they've relied on heavily. Lastly, we look at Shivam very quickly is VRL because VRL पे last season जो था proper hype एक था as we close this stream. Lucas Perez still at Deportivo. What the fuck? But the thing is VRL Shivam, like last season they were fantastic and they followed up. Obviously Champions League में नहीं किया अच्छा वो लोग ने. That was a big disappointment. But they've obviously gone on and hired Inigo Perez and that's the big talk of the town here. Like क्या लग रहा है VRL के बारे में? Is a repeat incoming if Mikau Tadze doesn't leave, obviously. That you never know, could work out well. क्या बोलता है?
मेरे हिसाब से तो Inigo Perez will be heading to Premier League soon. I think he is an incredible manager, very high pressing manager, obviously disciple of Iraola. Has done a really good job ever since he has done a really good job at Rayo and now he's at Villarreal. You can see a lot of academy players popping up under him. One player to
Yeah.
look out for, I have not seen that player anything, not even a single footage. So I don't want to say about players which I don't watch. But from every report and online stuff which I'm reading, that Carlos Macia, 18-year-old kid, he is apparently termed as Baby Rodri. I don't know if it's actually true or not. Because if it turns out to be true, then Villarreal have a gem in their hands, and they have this 6'4" tall player in Alassane Diatta, who is
Mm,
a Senegalese ball-winning midfielder. So these two
mm,
can form a very formidable midfield alongside Sante Komesani and Pape Gueye, which they have retained as of now, and they're actually looking to sign one more DLP. That's an
mm.
important thing. The main concern for Villarreal is the goalkeeping situation. I think Luis Junior has been doing a lot of errors lately. So I don't know if Luis Junior will be even in the goal or if they'll start Peter Gulassi because Peter Gulassi is
Mm.
experienced but his age is not on his side. So will they trust Luis Junior? They also sold I think Arnaud Tenas. That remains to be seen. Junior has been a liability lately. And from the forward line, I think Moreno and Mikau Tadze under Inigo Perez can do actually good things. I just hope
Yeah,
that Tejan Buchanan and Tanu Oluwase turn up this season. And obviously,
yeah,
you already have Alberto Molero, which I'm sure will be going to
yeah,
Arsenal very soon.
yeah. I'm very, very, very intrigued to see again more of Molero because I think Inigo Perez के लिए fantastic signing और जैसे उन्हें बोला तो options भी देख निकोला पेपे भी ठीक ही था मतलब जेरार्ड मोरेनो भी है ही overall that attack is quite well balanced and if Mikau Tadze the way he links up and it's fantastic and I agree like if Tejon Buchanan is on song from out wide he provides a lot of threat. I think the only question here is obviously कि Inigo Perez इसी role में एकदम से set हो पाएगा कि नहीं. I think that's the big question because Marcelino still has that know-how to do that and all. Inigo Perez is kind of just getting started, although he did it at Rio. I feel this is although a perfect move on paper at least, and I don't know. It's almost very similar how Inigo Perez and Marcelino in a way, not exactly similar, but how
मतलब
they will handle. हाँ बोल.
Marcelino मतलब मार्सिलिनो used to sit deep and then start the
Yeah,
transitions. मेरे को लगता है कि इनिगो पेरेज would be उसकी टीम्स ऐसी होती हैं जो बॉल जल्दी हाई प्रेस करके विन करती है एंड वेरी क्विक ट्रांजिशन स्टार्ट करती है सो दैट्स द प्राइमरी डिफरेंस
yeah, yeah. That's the primary difference. Although I would be obviously, in a sense, be worried a bit about the midfield because of that approach. In a tad bit, because I feel it can be better if that was to be the approach. Overall, yeah, I'm very excited to watch Santiago Mourinho. Bhai, matlab, wo to obviously Atleti did what they did. But yeah, I think just quickly, just showing our the final predictions. Barcelona, I think.
Sevilla, I just want to talk about Sevilla, man,
Sorry.
because Sevilla, because
Sure. You
over
want to let's close with Sevilla then. Let's close with Sevilla.
I think
Obviously, मेरे को just quickly, I'm not getting good vibes. I think they'll be in a relegation dogfight. Do you agree? And what do you think of it?
I don't think because I think Sevilla will do well this season. I think Sevilla have basically accepted that reality that they are not a top level team anymore, that they are a mid table side. So they are not going forward on signings which increase a lot of burden on their wage bill. For example, the likes of Alexis Sanchez, one of my favorite players, he's not there,
Hmm.
he's gone at Montreal. For some strange reason, he still dreams of playing for Chile. And a lot of other players. They basically saw कि उनके स्क्वाड में क्या-क्या issues हैं and they made these kind of signs. They signed a Scottish player who has a good back to goal game. I
Yes,
have not
yes.
watched a single game of that guy, Robbie Pure, or whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
So I'm intrigued to see what he provides. I think one of the players which they signed really well is John Guridi from Alaves. He is
Yeah.
one of the most hard-working players in La Liga, who can run a lot, he can move around to the goal a lot. He is the first guy to press. Obviously, he is not the same Guridi which he was a couple of years ago, but even at this age, he can provide a lot to Sevilla. One of the players to look out for is Kike Salas. Apparently, his betting thing got completely cancelled. So Kike Salas technically is not from Sevilla Academy, but he joined the reserves. So Kike Salas can actually have a very important role. He is the first captain of the team now. And last season, Sevilla क्यों survive की थी? One of the big reasons was Salah. I think he's a fantastic left centre back option if you are a back three team. Very good with the ball, very good defensively, and they have managed to retain Oso as well. Oso had a good second half of the campaign. He's very up and down, energetic fullback. He obviously has an Argentine
Yeah.
heritage, and they have made a couple of signings as well. I want to see who partners Agume in that midfield role. I think they still need to sign one more midfielder. And yes, Juan Iglesias, I think double fullback system में खेलेंगे ये लोग, and they might actually turn out to be good. Maybe 12-13 तक ही finish करेंगे, but I don't think कि इतना late इनका relegation battle जाएगा अगर
Hmm.
उनको strike
I still have jury out on them because कैसा है अभी उनका वो clear out session चालू हो गया, right? We know they were run like a mess, overpaying players that are not good enough. बहुत सारे ऐसे player भर गए थे और obviously निकालना चालू किया. Cor Adams तो देख, जिब्रिल साव, obviously ये सब बंदों को निकाला वो लोग ने.
Nianzou गया है.
Sorry.
Nianzou was one of the worst centre backs in मैंने जो ला लीगा में बहुत साल से मैं देख रहा हूँ, बट
Yeah.
बहुत ही खराब सेंटर बैक था एंड ही वाज सो इंजरी प्रोन और इतना पैसा दे रहे थे उसको.
Exactly. Him, Nyland also gone, and जो Robbie Ure तो बोला, I think he came off Sweden from a very good like season, 20 goals in 20 games. So maybe there is like now they're kind of reducing the age as well within the team. So it's start of a process. My only concern is obviously Luis Garcia Plaza. I mean, I know he's very energetic coach. He's been in a relegation battle in the past, survive भी कर चुका है. I just feel, yeah, I don't think they'll get relegated. I feel वो थोड़ा उस process से निकलने को time लेगा, rightly so. And you pointed out, hey, फिर भी it's still a decent team and should be able to make it overall. So yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. I don't. Let's not even. I think. Yeah, I mean, I hope you continue watching Serie A. But guys, Shivam, you have any closing thoughts about the La Liga that is to start tomorrow? Anything else you want to say? Comments, guys. Last comments ले रहा हूँ, उसके बाद मैं बंद कर रहा हूँ stream. So let me know if you guys have any thoughts as well. बोल.
Yeah, I mean, मैं तो यही बोलूंगा कि देखिए लीग को. इट्स अ वेरी गुड लीग. प्रीमियर लीग फैंस जो हैं काफी मेरे भी दोस्त बोलते हैं कि मजा नहीं आता. आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि प्रीमियर लीग में बहुत हाई फ्लोइंग फुटबॉल होता है, आपको उस लेवल का फुटबॉल नहीं मिलेगा देखने के लिए. बट वंस यू स्टार्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग द लीग, वंस यू स्टार्ट वाचिंग अ लॉट ऑफ टीम्स, वंस यू स्टार्ट वाचिंग अ लॉट ऑफ टैक्टिक्स, then काफी मजा आएगा. It's a good
Yeah.
league to follow. There are a lot of teams with different type of styles, lot of different kind of stories, lot of weird stuff happening. जैसे कार्डिस ने एक वीडियो ही निकाल दिया कि क्लब का प्रेसिडेंट प्लेयर को डांटा, उसका लाइव वीडियो रिलीज कर दिया. So a lot of these things also happen. तो definitely one to watch, and अगर आप रेगुलरली देखेंगे आपको आदत लग जाएगी तो आपको एक्चुअली मजा आएगा.
एंड यू सेड इट वेल यार, ला लीगा के बारे में बार बार वही बोला जाता है, 2 हॉर्स रेस, 3 हॉर्स रेस जो भी है, बट दे लुक गाइस, इट इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डाइवर्स लीग्स व्हेन इट कम्स टू द टैक्टिकल अप्रोच. जो भी तुम कंट्रोवर्सी देखते हो उसके अंदर भी स्टोरीज रहते हैं. इट इज एक्चुअली all the clubs are so in that sense stable of financially. You don't see clubs going bankrupt, historic clubs and all that always has its charm. And you see at the end of the day Spanish football is doing well on a whole for a reason. There's always some good youth players. There is proper balance between the kind of foreigners that come in. Overall very well run. You have a few exceptions, but it's one of the best leagues to watch. Let me remind you, it starts tomorrow at 11 p.m. Alaves versus Getafe. Perfect way to start the league. Or guys, obviously, please do follow Shivam on Twitter. He will obviously be tweeting always about Spanish football and beyond, and South American football and beyond. Obviously, please do like this stream. Please do share it after it's done. I know thoda lamba chal gaya, but then it is football season, you know, so we make it happen. And please do subscribe. More importantly, more content to come. We are very close to 3K. Again, Shivam also usually appears on Drog Baba's channel and on ZBK. So udhar bhi please subscribe kijiye. He always has very interesting facts to share there as well. And guys, we'll see you very soon for more such content. Please do like, share, subscribe. Ciao, ciao.